And once again, a huge shout out to all of our supporters over at patreon.com/878survivor FM. A shout out to all of our editors, our $5 supporters, our production managers, our $10 supporters, Florida, Big Dog, Shane Murphy, Tank Dazza, and Hawks Hammer. Our 2 producers, Jake Snow and Red Freedom or Eric. Thank you all so much for your continued ongoing support. Also, our 5 YouTube members, King Alobar, Kenny Baker, King Alobar, Cinnamon, Muddy Tracklinks, and Jake is Zero Cool. All of you are legends who help the show go on each and every week. Thank you all for your support, even just by watching or listening each week to the podcast, and we hope you enjoy the 100th episode special. Also, a shout out to all of the team behind the show. There's obviously myself, Boydie, Marks, that lad, Archie, Foxy, DanceofJesus, Jacob Mango, Daone, and Spud from DDU. Without all these people behind the team, show wouldn't be able to go on each and every week, folks. So make sure you check out their links in the description. Ciao for now. And we are live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And welcome to episode 101 of the DayZ podcast. We are joined, as always, by Lad. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, not doing too bad. How's yourself?
Not too bad at all, mate. Not too bad at all. Marks is running a bit late. He's just off feeding his face, so he will be back. But we're joined also by a special guest host this week, Project Lemons. How you doing, mate?
Howdy, I'm doing well, buddy. Glad to be on here.
Good to have you. Good to have you. But the main man of the show this week is the one and only Sgt Savage. Been a long time coming, buddy. We've had you scheduled and cancelled and rescheduled and cancelled and rescheduled, but we finally got you, mate. How you doing?
Not too bad, mate. Thanks for having me.
Mate, it is, I can't tell you how good it is to have someone without a stupid fucking accent on the show with me.
Shut up.
All these other wankers with their fucking Pommy and American and Canadian and French and fucking all this other crap. It's good to have just a nice, good old fucking Aussie on the show with me. Finally.
I don't know, mate. I seem to think that a lot of Europeans and stuff don't understand what we say, mate. So maybe we're on the other side of it, mate. I don't know.
We'll have to drop as many Aussieisms as we can, mate, just so they sit there going, what the fuck are these two talking? How you doing, me old China plate?
Not too bad, mate. Yeah, hanging in there. Sunday bloody morning. Jeez. I don't know. How you do this all the time?
Hey, mate, this is 100, and I think I've only ever missed one episode from my memory. But this is admittedly beforehand, until about halfway through the series, we used to start 6 hours prior to this. But even then, that was a midnight start for me, mate. So, I was finishing sometimes at 3, 4 a.m. in the morning. So there was my Sunday gone. So yeah. This is a lot better. This is a lot better now being this time of the morning, but it's going to be changing again. And we'll talk about that coming in the future. So, mate, tell us a bit about yourself. What have you been up to? You've been up to a lot. For those who know about you, you've done a lot, but we'll start off. We'll just let you tell us a bit about yourself, mate. How did you get into this sort of stuff?
Alrighty. Well, started off back in, I think it was 2004. Bohemia released, 2002 actually. Correction, 2001. 2001 they released Operation Flashpoint.
Yep.
And they seen this new engine coming out, and I thought, this looks amazing. Okay, back in the day, it looks very dated now, but we've always had a fixation on the Vietnam War. So was hunting around and found this group called the Unsung Vietnam War Mod. They started off in about 2003. I started fiddling around making maps and sounds and stuff like that there, and I gave them a yell. I said, look, I'd like to contribute. And they said, yeah. So from about 2004 up until about 2017, I was with them. About years after the project started, the guys disbanded, as they modders do.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to let it go, so I took charge of it. And from about 2007-ish, right up to about 2017.
So how did you get into modding in the first place?
Just felt that there was always something missing. It wasn't right. And like I said, I just kind of fell into it. The guys that were originally there, needed a bit of help with this like sections of things that I could do, and and they went for it. And like I said, we stuck together for many years. Through Operation Flashpoint, we started in Arma 1, into Arma 2, and then the big jump to Arma 3. That was up until, like I said, till 2017, 2018. And, so we started off, on their multiple different engines. Each succession was better.
Yep.
We had to relearn all the tools, and there was actually no tools back then. Micro was the one guy we were using a lot of his tools, which were like third-party tools to actually mod. About 2017, I think we received a message, or I think we've seen an ad there for creators to possibly do a commercial DLC in partnership with Bohemia Interactive. So we made the pitch.
So they actually advertised for people to do that?
Yes,
Yep.
They did. We thought, you know what, this is our golden opportunity. So we made the pitch, and they sent all the paperwork over, and we started work. But they actually invited us over to Prague. The head office there in Brno back in 2018. It was November 2018.
Mm-hmm.
They invited a lot of team members over there from different modding communities. Modding groups.
They got you all there at once.
All the people that they felt that might have been kind of centre and front of the modding community, of the Arma community. So, we were our team.
Mel in chat's calling it the 2018 Arma 3 boot camp. That's
the one, yeah. Hey, Mel. I know, he's a good mate of mine. Hey, Mel.
Yep.
Yeah, I met him over there. So it's 2018, and 22-hour flight over there straight, and I landed in Prague. Had just got off the plane. I'm a little bit wired, as you can understand.
Yep.
First time away from my kids, first time away from my wife like that by myself. I felt a bit too free, and I had this white knuckle ride all the way down to the Bohemia office, because they sent a guy up there to pick me up in the car, mate. I'll tell you what, 165 kilometres down on this road, mate. He was just caning like crazy. I'll tell you what, mate. Like I said, I had white knuckle syndrome holding on to that bloody. That's what I said. I didn't know if I was going to make it, and I didn't want to say anything because I didn't know what, And obviously, too, driving on the wrong side of the road too, it wasn't helping the situation.
Oh, well, there you go.
So, we got there in one piece, and met up with my team. I've been working with them for over 7 years, but never physically met them because they're all over the world. And it was great. It was a 3-day boot camp. I think it was we were there for about 5 days, but we had three-day boot camp there, and it was fantastic. Being new country, and Bohemia really looked after us. They were really great hosts.
Yep.
They put us up in a really nice place and looked after us. Every day they would drive up to the accommodation there in their what I affectionately call the Arma battle bus. It's completely, got all the logos all over it and stuff like that. And it was really surreal because, especially when we landed in that area, because the first day we were walking around the town, and it's actually where the office is. It's very, I wouldn't say secluded, but it's very rural. And yeah, it was like walking in DayZ because everything has been modelled off the infrastructure there, like even the water fountains and stuff like that. The buildings, everything like that, and it was autumn as well too. So even the foliage and everything was exactly the same. So it was like really freaky. It was very surreal.
Yep.
But yeah, they had us over there for each morning. They'd come up, pick us up, and they'd take us down to the studio, and they'd give us information about what to do as a creator. They had obviously all the staff running around. We weren't allowed to go anywhere, obviously, because upstairs, because it's obviously closed doors, or projects they're probably working on. I don't know. But yeah, they were fantastic people. The only thing I found is that I don't know, again, if it was my accent or not. I did ask a few questions, and they kind of and it just goes quiet. Now, I've had people from England there. We had people from Slovakia. We had people from Norway. We had from all over. And you got this bloke from down under that I didn't think my accent was that too heavy, but
you've got a good Aussie accent, mate. You really do. That's why I commented on it straight away. You've got a nice thick Aussie accent, mate, and I do know some people do struggle with us at times.
Yeah, I found that really prevalent over there, and that was kind of the thing. I had to slow down and I was speaking proper English, and even a mate next to me, he's from the UK, and he's looking at me like, "What are you trying to say?" I'm like, I'm speaking English, mate. So
it was Operation Praerie Fire was the one you were behind with the rest of your team, isn't it?
Yeah, that's correct. I was the creative director on SOG Praerie Fire for Arma 3. So yeah, had a good, big team, and a lot of guys from all over the world. Some good friends I've worked with for years, and we all brought our little piece to it. It was great fun. We got into production, and off we went, and it's been really good. Was well received. It was
very well received. I remember people commenting about it. Like I'm not an Arma player, but I just remember like Scalespeeder, one of the guys who's usually in here. He was like, "Oh boy, you've got to see this Operation Praerie Fire. It is just an amazing community DLC for Arma." And everything I heard about it was positive.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's very. I mean, we've been modding for like that. The core group was the Unsung Vietnam War mod. So we've been modding together for 14, 15 years. So we knew each other. We knew what we could do. And we're proudly still the Unsung Vietnam War mod is the oldest surviving mod of the Arma series. Yep. So that in itself is a testament to what could be done. So I mean, it's just a matter of the issue I find with a lot of things, especially modding wise and stuff like that, is that things just aren't done properly. And it's not being arrogant. It's just I can see it has to be done a certain way, and that's what we pulled through, and we made sure that we tied all the loose ends and made sure that it worked and yeah, it was great. But yeah.
So what goes into it from like your perspective as a team? So they come to you or they advertise that they're looking for people to create a community DLC. You put in your application, they fly you out. Did they fly you out when they'd accepted you, or was that part of the interview process?
No. It was an invitation to the modders of the Armaverse. It wasn't because of that. That was something completely separate. But a group of us were invited to attend this creative boot camp. So just to basically, it was like just get together and get everybody knowing everybody and get everybody on the same page. It was really just sort of like a thank you to the Arma community from Bohemia to do what we do. I mean, because a massive part of Arma series and DayZ as well too is the modding community, and Bohemia really do care about that. They are probably one of the only studios that will acknowledge that a lot of their successes come from.
Well, it's kind of ironic you bring this topic up, because it's something we've talked about a lot, lad. Is so many people, one of the biggest criticisms they have of, I don't know whether it's said about Arma, but one of the things that they criticise DayZ about, and they're really going hard on DayZ at the moment, is that it's a shit game, and the only thing that kept it alive is the mods. And it's like, yes, modding has reinvigorated the game, but you should not be surprised by this, because this has always been their model, hasn't it, lad? They make a game, a base platform, and then let modders do their thing.
Well, that's the thing, people say, about DayZ. It's like, oh, DayZ's shit, it's, modern's propping it up. Isn't that kind of the same for, like you've said, all of the other games they've made, Arma 2, Arma 3? I mean, if it wasn't for the DayZ mod, Bohemia would have went down under. I mean, they admitted that. They proved, they said that, if I recall correctly. In fact, Arma 2 didn't really sell well at first, and then the DayZ mod came out, and then sales just went through the roof because everybody wanted to fucking play the mod. And it's not only Bohemia, but it's also other games like Bethesda, for example. You just take a look at their Elder Scrolls series and Fallout. Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, Oblivion, Skyrim. Skyrim's been out for over 10 years at this point. And because people keep buying the game and mod the game, it's still very, very relevant, unfortunately. But it is what it is, and it's just one of those things. People just don't seem to realize actually how much companies benefit from modding, and almost at this point in time, it's like if a company decides to say "fuck you" to modders, i.e., Rockstar. They get the shit themselves in the fucking foot. And people absolutely slam dunk them. They protest. They don't fucking buy the game. I mean, unfortunately, people still bloody buy the game, but in terms of modding for Grand Theft Auto 5 and even 4, it's not as much as it used to, because their parent company decided to absolutely slam them down.
And especially with the new one that came out. Yeah, San Andreas remake. They took down every mod, and they put DMCAs out for every single modder out there, and completely trashed on them.
They got universally panned over that, because if they had released a quality product, it wouldn't have been as bad. But the product they released was something that I don't think there's a mod in even the DayZ community that was of a lower quality than what they fucking released, and they're a AAA fucking developer. It was a joke and an embarrassment to their company that they went ahead with that. But it's all about the money for some companies. It's all about the money. All about the money for some people. It was disgusting. It was. I'm not into GTA that much. I've played the games in that. I've dabbled in the online, and it's not really my thing. But when they did what they did, and the way they shat on their modding community, do any of you guys know what was the feedback or the fallout from that? Did any modders abandon the game?
was terrible.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they did. Yeah, I mean, at that point, if you mod for a game, and then the company decides to say, "Fuck you," and serve you DMCA and legal notices, yeah, you're gonna stop and you're gonna go elsewhere.
Oh.
Simple as.
I mean, it was bad from the start too, because they didn't even use main companies or the main offices to work on the game, like Rockstar North, which has produced most of these great games like GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption. They reached out to Take-Two, or not Take-Two, sorry, San Andreas, or Grove Street Grain Games. That's it. They're the people that made the mobile game, the mobile port for Grand Theft Auto. And what just surfaced recently is with the new Definitive Edition game that came out, that was actually just a reskin from their mobile port. They put some lipstick on for the new consoles. When that came out, that was it. That was like one of the last nails in the coffin for a lot of people, because even coming up to that point, it was just development was slow. There wasn't transparency with the company, and it was horrible. You know, that's for any game developers out there. That's the perfect example of what not to do.
Yeah,
you're working on a new game.
What are your thoughts on it there, Sgt Savage?
Well, mate, again, it's very silly to do things like that, because I mean your core audience is the ones that are actually wanting to build things for it. And I mean, if you're going to shit on that, then mate, you might as well just say, well, you're going to destroy yourself eventually. I mean, like I said, Bohemia is and always has been very, very, held their modders in high regard. And I mean, this was a perfect example that they got us in partnership with them as the publishers, and they were fantastic. At every step of the way, very supportive. Anything we had some grey areas on that they would help, and we're always in constant contact with them. So it was great. Like I said, but it should be a bit more like that in the world. Bohemia is probably one of the exceptions to this big AAA kind of mentality of like, this is our game and this is how we want it, and no, you're not going to mod it. We're not going to do this, not going to do that. This is the other issue as well. To anybody that tries to mod a game as well too, and especially like that, you don't have the tools to be able to create more content like that.
Even the documentation for it either,
Exactly, and that's been an issue over the years with the modding. But there's some really creative people out there, really talented people that can do some things. You just sit there, and go, how the hell did that work? How did you do that? And some of them even get snapped up by Bohemia. Before you really know it, you're like, oh, okay, here I'm working for Bohemia now. It's like, well, it goes without saying, because they've got familiarization with the engines or certain things, and some of them are really, really talented. I've seen some amazing work, even in modding, to the point where people would even say that it's exceeded the vanilla.
Sure, and you could say of a lot of games too. A lot of the modding community are very passionate about the work they do, and they put in a lot more time. But, well, debatably, they put in a lot more time than some of the people who actually work at these studios. And I've seen people before who know some of these programs inside and out, and know workarounds and tricks and stuff that even the developers don't know. And I'm not just saying this just for Bohemia, but this can go for a lot of different games. Like I know even Left 4 Dead 2 recently, they had their community-led DLC come out, the Last Stand update. Left 4 Dead has been abandoned in regards to development for years now. They haven't received any support for any of that stuff, and they worked with a group of modders to release a brand new update for it last year, and that completely brought the game back to life. And it's like we were saying, a lot of these games, modding is what gives the life support for these games, like these older games that have been around for years. Modding is what keeps the fresh stuff coming out, because a lot of these developers move on. You know, they have new projects, they have new stuff to work on, so they can't always stay on the same stuff all the time. You know, so to give modders the chance to be able to work with the tools they have at hand and be able to expand what's there, it's free work for these companies. So you know, it's crazy to see that some of these companies neglect that or just don't take advantage of it, because they're literally getting free development outsourced by the community for their game. So
Yeah,
Right,
well, that's it.
yeah, that's a lot of the case. I mean, I'm having to offend your DayZ viewers here, but I actually, back in the day, Arma 2 days, I was very much against DayZ and very much against, you know, the notion that everybody was walking around saying, "Oh, Arma 3, is that a DayZ mod?" It was the other way around. And I tell you what, that used to piss me off no end. I'd be like, "You got no idea, son. There's a heritage here. You know, this is the third, you know, brother of the whole series, and here it is." And I seen that DayZ, Arma song. You can see it on YouTube. It's quite funny. And right at the end there, you know, it's talking about Arma song, about, you know, walking, you know, walking footsteps, step by step, and then all of a sudden he pops out and then all of a sudden DayZ, he's getting chased by zombies. I was just like, to me back then it's cringe. But but you know, and I guess in a way back then too, it actually, I'll probably say that it didn't really, it separated the community a little bit, especially. So I mean, I never played it, and me personally, I was completely against it. But then you know, we had years later, you know, I thought, Bohemia put this thing on, tight ass friggin' weekend, you know, play free. So I thought, all right. So I downloaded it and had a look at it and jumped into it. And the first thing that I noticed straight away was the Infusion engine, and I was just like, oh my God. I mean, this is everything I wanted in Arma, you know, everything. I mean, I was at Solincini through to Daone, and there's first thing I've seen was just, I mean, obviously the shading, the lighting, the you know, the way the colours are more vivid, it's more clean, it's more crisp. I look back now at Arma 3 and I'm like, kind of like, yeah, it's getting a bit old. But I've seen this.
My son plays a lot of Arma as well, and you know, he'll load up DayZ every now and then, and he just says, "Yeah, I just can't wait for a lot of the stuff that's in DayZ to be in an Arma title." And you know, we've had that sneak peek of the full Infusion engine, not the hybrid beast that DayZ is, and it just looks stunning.
Yeah, like I said, I've seen the stream, the water source, you know, on the left side as you run up. And that's the first thing. I mean, that was first and front to me, that I was like, seeing how they animated the water down like that there, I was just like, geez, there's so many things that we wanted to do back in the mod days and stuff like that there we couldn't do because it's just the way that it was rigged up. And I was looking at that and I was just like, wow, you know, and I was just walking around looking at the nature of things, you know, like that. I was also sort of saying, this is so much, you know, further advanced. And I guess, you know, I kind of called that, you know, Infusion Mark 1, you know.
Yep.
And that was the thing, and that, you know, started getting into it, and now, yeah, it's basically all I play. So, you know, yeah, it's just fantastic. You can see a massive leap. It was a big jump. Like I said, I've been there since Operation Flashpoint 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. There was a big jump between Arma 2 to Arma 3, but this here is just like takes it to the next level. I mean, I don't want to say this, but I downloaded Scum the other day for about 45 minutes, and I absolutely hated it. Sorry. Look, it's so buggy, and I swear that the running animation just reminded me of old Benny Hill show, mate. But look, and it was terrible. But even you know, it's got decent graphics. I look at it compared to the Infusion engine, and the Infusion engine is just, as it is right now, is still holds up even after how many years? 2013. You know, it's held up so well, and it still looks good, and it still plays good.
Now,
you know,
we're getting a lot of questions in chat, and we will try to get to them, but I just want to make a statement here that, you know, in speaking to Sgt Savage since last year, One thing he did want me to make sure that everyone was aware of is that he can't answer any direct questions regarding BI or certain details about the DLC, nor am I able to promote it since I'm no longer with that team. I'm still under an NDA as well. Can't divulge upcoming updates, etc. I can talk about my involvement with the project, about the Prague trip BI invited us, etc. My thoughts on DayZ. So
Thank you.
feel free to ask questions, but if he can't answer it, he's not going to answer it. And it's not because he doesn't want to, it's because he's under an NDA.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's money involved here, folks. This was a community DLC. if he breaches his NDA, he could be sued. And no one wants that. So, yeah. But what, like, Scalespeed has got a question up there. So why does Sgt Savage think his group were brought under BI's wing, whereas DayZ modders haven't been? Do you have any thoughts on that? Or is that something you can't really talk about? Why DayZ's never been able to get a community DLC yet?
I have no idea, honestly. Like I said, I think I'd really hope that would happen. I think it'd be extremely beneficial for the DayZ. But I could see what's happened here, and this is my personal thought, is that DayZ modding, it's very segregated, or not segregated, it's very separate, because whereas we had teams in Arma, we had full modding teams. Now it seems to be that you go to the Steam Workshop page and you just see...
Sorry, I'm just laughing at Attrition's comment there after I've said that. So someone asks a question and you can't really answer, cough twice if it's yes.
I can't even see that what the questions are right now, mate, because we've got one screen open, but you'll have to relay the question to me, I'm sorry, but yeah, I don't usually use Discord like this here, but yeah, going back to what I was saying, that you know, it seems what I've found so far that DayZ, there's just a group of modders that's I mean, apart from the expansion team, there's no real full
team per se.
Modding teams, yeah, and I think this might be that could possibly be something. I don't know. It's completely up to Bohemia what they think, but I think it'd be really great.
I honestly always wondered that, whether if a team of the talented and brightest sparks in the community got together and went to them with a proposal. You know, obviously that's not something you can answer because you're not a BI employee, but I've always wondered if enough of them got together and went to them and said, you know, this is what we'd like to do, whether, you know, that would be something they would consider. But, you know, we'll never know unless someone gets it together. Message Sgt Savage. He's in the Discord right now. Send him a DM if you want to get the ball rolling on that, folks. So we highly encourage you. I need a jungle map. I need a snow map. All forwarded over to console.
Here we go. Yeah, here we go.
Like there is on console.
But the ditto was there, brother. No, but look, honestly, I think that's what I've seen from that point of view. Like I said, I mean, see, the thing is with DayZ and going back to Arma days is we decided that, like, different groups would change it up to how they thought they would see it. Like, we had Vietnam, there was a World War II mod, so there's always this kind of, you know, we want to do this, we want to do that. With DayZ, it's DayZ. There's no, you know, you can change it up. I mean, you can get rid of the zombies, you could put bots in, but if you wanted to. You could do certain other things as well too. You could change it up. But I think a lot of it as well too is that, you know, people just make a really cool mod and it's only small and they throw it on and then people add it and it's just snowball.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of things. Whereas, you know, you've got some really talented guys out there, Ragged and Dimitri, a few others like that there that are really great scripters and really good at what they do. It feels like it's a different kind of it's a different community.
Well, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is, you know, just the lengths that you guys went to with this Operation Praerie Fire mod. Like, again, Scalespeeder, he's a huge fan of yours. And he mentioned about how you got the SOG MAC-V veterans involved.
Yeah. Well, again,
to tell us a bit about that for those who don't know what we're talking about there.
Okay, well, we had veteran advisors actually from SOG forces actually work alongside us.
And
Now,
SOG stands for Special Operations Group?
No, it's a studies and observation group.
Okay.
There was, it was a group that was formed back in the day there, and they changed the name so they wouldn't be recognised as a force. So everyone's perception is it's a special operations group. It's not. It's studies and observation groups of Vietnam. So they were very, very covert kind of black ops kind of stuff. I mean, this is what they've done. That they would exactly what we portrayed in the game as well too. They'd cross borders and stuff like that. They would go over into
now,
Laos.
I have to quickly ask: was that named after you, Savage Game Design?
Well, yeah, I helped. Well, I was co-founder of the company, so yeah, that's yeah, I guess so. But look, it was a massive team, mate, and it's just like we had a bit of a name, so yeah, luckily I was able to choose that there. But basically, yeah, the advisors, absolutely, fantastic people. They were all Vietnam vets, and they were, leaders of the actual groups. So we always back into even to the unsung days. It was a matter of getting things right, and the only way we could know we could get this 100% right. I mean, you could read textbooks and stuff like that, but we felt that we really wanted to make this exactly how it was in real life. And we reached out to these guys. And
it's stunning. Obviously I wasn't in Vietnam, but I've watched a lot of movies about Vietnam, and even with Arma 3 engine, just the landscape you guys created is so beautiful, so immersive. Yeah,
I mean, like I said, again, that's what I was coming back to before. There's a lot of talented people out there, and some of them, some are really, really into it. And I talking before, is that it's you can be a game developer inside a studio, and but maybe a lot of it you don't believe in the actual title, and it's just a job. I'm not saying this is the case everywhere, but when this was here, you can see that the passion and the drive of what we wanted to bring forth and show people as well too. I think it shines through everything that's there. I mean, things we've done before, even like just on that shot there with that belt-driven racking system there, where it feeds the bullets into the gun. We made that happen. I mean, no other mod or DSL I've seen so far that's done that. No, but we're talking. We had not just one advisor. We had about 3 or 4, maybe 5, I think. Had the guys that actually were the team leaders. We had the guys that actually flew the helicopters. So we'd run everything past, and we just say, this is how it is, and they'd say, yeah, that's not right, or this is not right, that's not right, and we would fix it. So we've had a couple of people come through. I've read in the past that this is not right and that's not right. So you should go and check yourself again, mate, because were you there? No. Yeah, we've been doing this for 15 years, and we've got a pretty good idea, and we research everything, and we've got the advisors saying, no, this is not right. The people that are actually on the ground, and credit to them, it was horrendous what they went through, and we done it with that in mind as a respect and paid homage to them as well too. It was very, very big thing that we got it right for them, because it was the unsung war of wars. I mean, it was terrible, and these guys couldn't talk about it because they were under classified protocols, just like I'm with an NDA as well too, so you can't speak about it. And we wanted to make it as authentic as possible. It's different. I mean, there's other games out there, Battlefield Vietnam, this and that, there, and that's all good and well. But as you can see here, the detail that goes into it was passion, and we wanted to give that feeling to put the player in the zone of this is what it was like, trying to get as close as possible. So, like I say, you can see all the rigging and that there on the soldiers and stuff like that. That's all
the old Vietnam era webbing, yeah.
Yeah. So, it was great, and we had a great, got a great team, and I've got a lot of good friends. We were lucky; we were able to, reach out and speak to a lot of the top modders of the Arma 3 community first, because we did have a pedigree, or even like going back to Operation Flashpoint. We knew, what we were doing, we knew what we wanted to do, and we reached out to a lot of these people. They're the best sound modders out there, the best artists that, and we met, a few of them over there and at the Creative Boot Camp as well too. And but yeah, it was great fun. A lot of work, but we knew what we wanted to do, and we want to do it right, and we done it. So yeah.
It's on sale right now, folks. So if you're looking for it, it's Aussie dollars $23.16. So that's not that bad. 20% off. Offer ends in 44 hours. But no, that's awesome. That just, it must have been such a rewarding process to, be to actually like tender for it, get flown over there, and then find yourself creating, and just this trailer must have been absolutely an amazing feeling for you and the rest of the team at Savage Gaming, to see your vision become reality.
Yeah, well, I think it was a next logical step from the mod, and I mean, we wanted to take it up a notch, and and that's the thing. We're always trying to, even back in the mod days, we're always trying to push it, but you were limited with what you could do. But then you get certain team members that can actually build things and make things better than it was before. And it shows. It's it was great. The team was fantastic.
And do you know how many copies have been sold of it, or is that something you can't say?
I don't know, mate.
No.
No. Look. At the end of the day, it was what we felt was right, and again paying homage to the advisors. Again, they were great. They were very, very supportive and very, very helpful. And do
you still stay in contact with any of the old veterans?
Yes, they're still in contact.
Yep.
Yeah, they're doing. Like I said, they're very, very pivotal, and it wasn't. We just wanted to make sure it was done right, and that's exactly the only way. We were very, very lucky that to have that.
One thing I will say for BI, they've always put, you can see when we scroll down a bit, they've got the Arma 3 charity bundle, the Arma 3 Laws of War DLC. They do take it seriously, the mill sim aspect of it. It's a game, but it's something that they realise is not just a game. That it's a game based on a very tragic reality for a lot of people who've been in war and been in war zones, and that it deserves a bit more respect than some franchises pay it.
Yeah, I mean that's been pretty fair. I mean, Arma and Bohemia, sorry, it's always been rooted in that kind of aspect. Or most, if not all, of their mainline titles obviously been real milsim, so it makes sense, if they do approach, a team such as yourself, to create this really authentic and accurate DLC. It's going to go to prove that they are serious, and with the charities, especially with the recent conflict, I would be surprised if Bohemia didn't do anything about that, considering their roots and their history. So it's really good that there are companies that they do take what they do seriously and also represent properly what they want to do and what they want to showcase and what they want to give back, essentially, especially with the recent charity bundles. So, I mean, props to them for it, for sure.
Yeah, and again, as I was saying, the perfect hosts. I mean, everybody was really professional and really accommodating. I mean, I even got to meet Ivan Buchter over there. We've become good friends. He's the creative director of Bohemia Interactive. Absolutely beautiful guy, best guy you'd ever meet. Very, quietly spoken. And I mean, he'd been through a lot, obviously, too, because I don't know if you guys are aware, but just around about, I think it was just before Arma was come out, he got mixed up with some issue over in another country. And, yeah, I'm not going into details, it's all public, but, he's just, like I said, one of the most beautiful people you've ever met.
Who's this again, sorry?
Ivan Buchter, he's the creative director. I mean, the guy is that great. He even came and picked us up himself in the Arma battle bus, from the accommodation, And I mean, that's a testament, And he's, like I said, a perfect case. I mean, we got to see everything, like where they work like that, but obviously not upstairs. But they show us the mocap studio, which is only like 20 feet away from their offices. It's really it's just a really weird feeling. You don't have this kind of big corporate office or anything like that there, and you walk through here, through there. It's like I said, it's someone's farm type thing, And it's fantastic. I mean, they've got this other thing as well too. They've got this just up the road. I think it's about a kilometre walk up the road. That they've got a pub there, and it's just in the middle of the forest. There's nothing else around it. But I tell you what, the food, oh my God, they've got this big fire pit in the middle, and they put a pig on it that night there. And I tell you what, the meat just melted in my mouth, I tell you. And, this, they got me in this, what was it over there? It was a Czech whiskey or something like that. There it was called Republic whiskey. And I tell you what, mate, that stuff. He could drink it all day, and I'll tell you what, he wouldn't be standing too long. But I'll tell you what, it's so super smooth. And
I want to fucking go here. I want to go here now.
Mate, I absolutely loved Prague. It was beautiful. I mean, I'd never been to Europe before, but we got together as a team after it, and it was 2 extra days before I was flying back to Australia, and we all got together and we went out and we had Vietnam food over there. It was really good, and we just walking around hard time trying to find just a pub to have a beer. Not in the middle of Prague. There's a lot of restaurants and stuff like that. So we'd have to go in a restaurant there just to sit down just to have a beer. There was and it was just funny. I just remembered I was walking through the middle of Prague, and it's just it's autumn. It's cool. And walking through all the people, and all of a sudden this Aussie comes out, "Come on, mate, let's go. We're going down here." I'm like, oh fuck, you just wrecked it. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, "G'day, mate, how you going?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, you're Aussie. New Zealand." I went, "No, mate, I can say 6 properly. Sorry, guys." That's a little joke. Love you guys. And he's like, he's chatting away. He's like, "Oh, where are you from?" I said, "Oh, I'm from Sydney." He goes, "I'm from Melbourne." I said, "Oh, I feel sorry for you, man, but it's all right." And it was great, and the people, very, 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 very nice over there, and very cheap too. Like the beer that comes out. I mean, it was huge. I mean, it's bigger than our schooner, I think, like that. It's a big bloody mug, but they put a massive head on it. And I think they like that, So you got to get through tons of head before you can get to the brew. So there's 2 beers over there. It was a Pilsner and Kozel. I think there's one more, but Pilsner was the main one. But I fell in love with Kozel beer, mate. We got it over at Dan Murphy's, mate, 500ml bottles. And that's very, very smooth. But like I said, it was great walking around and getting to know the landscape. We went down to Pilsen, which is south of Prague. It's about an hour and a half drive, and we went out there, shot shots on guns. So some Vietnamese guns like that there. So my favourite was the M16A1, and the bastard jammed nearly every friggin' round. So, but it's indicative of just how it was back in the day as well.
The M16 was notorious for jams. Like the Australians didn't have a lot of them, but the stories I heard from old Vietnam vets is that the Americans had that many of them, that if one jammed, they just threw it to the side and grabbed another M16 and just kept on shooting. They just had that many of them laying around. It was like, are you for fucking real? It was like, yeah, Americans do things bigger and better than everyone. How long from the time you tendered to the DLC being available on the marketplace, how long was that sort of a time frame? Because I was just scrolling through looking at it, and like there's 2 maps, there's 4 new factions, 60 new weapons, new uniforms and gear, 25 new vehicles, 36 static weapons, multiplayer co-op campaign, multiplayer 13 scenarios and a bonus mission, 5 single player scenarios, sounds and effects, a custom music track. How long did it take you guys to do that? That just, from my limited understanding of modding is, people like Dumpgra and Lad and, things like that, but I know Cubello spent nearly a year making just Banov, his map. How many people did you need to get this out? This is insane, just the sheer amount of content that's in this DLC.
There's a lot of people involved. There was a lot of people involved. Probably it took us the best part of 2 or 3 years, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's again, it's a testament to the team. I mean, really good people that are focused, that are passionate, that love this.
2 or 3 years. That's insane.
Yeah,
but,
it
doesn't. It's insane to think it's that long, but it doesn't surprise me, Lemons, because you look at the quality of what we're looking at. That's not something you could just knock up in a couple of months, is it, Lemons?
Oh, that is stuff like that takes so long, and there's so much that goes into it. And not a lot of people realize the different resources that people have to put in. So many different groups of people that have their own talents, and not everyone's just like not everyone can just use everything and do everything. They can't have a sound designer and a modder and all doing like the modeler and doing the same stuff. And you need to have all those people working together and having that connection with each other. You can't just bring in a bunch of people and have them kind of work on their stuff separately. You need to have that bond between each other to actually work together and make the stuff possible.
Again, so we've forged a friendship over many, many years with the Unsung. So the core Unsung team was always there. So, it was a great project, and had great people, and
And you've started another project now, mate. Full Tilt Gaming. Tell us about that.
Full Tilt Gaming, yeah. So Full Tilt Gaming, Australian gaming group. DayZ. Not modding anything yet. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, basically just looking at the community again, see a lot of everybody's doing the 100K run to the trader, give 100K, run to the trader, shoot, rinse, repeat, shoot, rinse, repeat. And for me, I was kind of like, yeah, okay, that's good, yeah, I get that, it's COD and this and that there and I'm like, no, it's just DayZ is so much more. There's so much potential in DayZ. And, we looked at, try to change it up. We've been transitioning now for the last few years, different ideas, feelings, just to try and, it's probably a niche area in DayZ, but basically trying to get back to the roots of things, kind of vanilla feel,
Yeah. Boydie knows I'm a big advocate when it comes to making modded content for DayZ, but trying to still bring in that vanilla and official feel for it.
Yeah.
Because there are so many people now that just all use the same kind of template. I'm not trying to say that for everybody, but there's a lot of people that just kind of use that carbon copy, cookie cutter sort of feel for all their servers because they know it's going to work. That they don't have to do anything really. They can just get a few mods out the workshop, pump it out there, and they know they're going to get a good population. And I could say for sure it's the same on console. And it's even worse on console because I'd say about 90% of the servers for DayZ Console Edition on Xbox at least are just those times 100 boosted loot servers that have like the factions and the traders and like the NPC kits and all that stuff. And it's good to see people in the community who are taking the time to work on stuff, the people who are addressing this and saying, it's cool seeing all this stuff, but there's more that there can be offered, and trying to just break the mold. I love to see people that are creating new content and doing stuff that is against, not necessarily against, but just doing stuff that isn't really the norm. So many people have just gotten used to boosted loot, or they've gotten used to traders and stuff where they kind of think this is DayZ. Even new people joining now in like 2022, a lot of these people are joining in and their first experience is on modded. They don't even play on the official servers. I remember one of my friends personally, the first place he played was on a modded map, and he didn't even know about like Livonia or Chernarus and stuff because he was just playing the modded servers because that's what he saw on YouTube, And it's crazy to think that because they think that's official. Or they think that's what DayZ is. And when they go to an actual vanilla server, they're like, what is this,
Yeah.
Ball for choice. I think that's, again, exactly what you're saying. It's completely different what we're trying to do. We have a trader in there. I've always been against traders because I think it floods a lot of the economy and unbalances everything. So we're using, Dimitri's Trader Plus, which only drops what the players find. And we found that's a much better way of doing it. So players will race around, they'd find guns, something, they'd go to there and they'd sell it for a realistic price, not inflated 100,000, for a Barrett or something like that. There, it's all price relative, and we cater for all different playing groups. We have we split the map up with PvE easy. We have a PvE zone, a small PvE zone, but with the rest of it, heading up to Northwest Airfield, you're hitting PvP zone.
And you've got AI.
Yes, we've got AI. Yeah, it's not the EAI. That's the free one. This one was a paid mod. We put 350 down on it. And yeah, it's they move and act very much like players do. They can jump fences. They can push your position. They can, like I said, they can jump up over objects. They can jump up on crates. They can try and get an angle on you. They'll smash through doors if you think you're going to close the door behind you and you're safe. No, they'll come through, and if they get close enough, they'll smash you right in the head with the butt of their gun. So it's scream rushing at you. So yeah, a lot of people find it unnerving like that, but it's not perfect, but it's a big, massive step up. It's something we were looking at for quite a while, and went down a rabbit hole, and put it on. And I think now we're probably maybe one of two servers in Australia that's running. I don't know about the other server group because I know they contacted me a while ago and said, "We can't make it work. How do you help? Can you help us?" Anyway, so but we've also got craftable guns in there as well, to homemade weapons. So you race around and it's very survival style. But
now, just to elaborate as well, you're not just an Australian-based server, are you?
We had servers in America, so it's died off a little bit at the moment. So we've stopped that for the time being. We have map link running as well too, so you can effectively jump between maps. We've got the mask survival on at the moment. So basically, what happens is you race up to the NPC with all your gear. You can buy a ticket, but we've got ours switched off. It's just free. You just go up to them, you jump across straight away. What it effectively does is it kills your character on the first server, and then reanimates them and repacks them on the other one. So you don't see that, but there's an API server elsewhere that handles all the data, and it just switches back and forth.
One of the guys watching right now has created, or being part of a team that created a mod like that. So I don't know whether you're using the same one as what Dumpgra made, but yeah, we've talked about these map links before. It's amazing. When it's done right, it can add so much to a community. With a reason to travel between the different maps, and yeah, it's just awesome.
Yeah, so that's how we've set it out. So Chernaroos is like the base. It's like everybody comes there. That's where the trader is. That's where you gear up there. We're very much for adventure. You start there with a few cans of beans and whatnot. There, you gear up. You get a weapon. You get some ammunition. You got to get a lot of warm clothing. We'll set it up in a way that there's no food over there on the mollusk. There's no warm clothing. There's plenty of ammunition and all modded guns are over there. There's fuel over there as well too. Back in Chernaroos, it's basically vanilla kind of weapons.
Right.
So it's a transition. So it's a mission, and that's what we found a lot of the players love because they're like, I've got something to do. I've always got something to do. It's like this is what's happening. And
sorry to interrupt because that concept just threw me off there. So on the Chernarus map, you basically can get all set up like normal, get your gear ready and that. But when you go to Namalsk, you literally can only have what you brought with you. You
Correct.
can't go to like one of the villages and then find some food there. You literally have to
prep.
Stockpile.
Yep.
That's fucking amazing.
Yeah, and that's right.
I thought that's what you meant because that completely threw me off because obviously I know there's some maps and servers that use MapLink to go across with that, and I know if a server is monetized then they can't use Namalsk because Namalsk is one of those maps that you can't use monetization for. So not a lot of people use Namalsk, but you're doing it in a really unique way, and it's really, really awesome because you can actually, I can only assume you've already done it, but it's like actual events and expeditions to investigate the Namalsk crisis, like the after effects and that. I'm going to try that out later.
That's good. Yeah, no, like I said, it's we have to sit back and look at it. What would be again, it's all about the player experience. It's again trying to get away from all that, like you're saying, mentality before of this is all it is. So basically, you'll race around. Things are pretty vanilla. You still have to grind on Cherno. It's not easy. You got to take all your food with you. Got to take all your medical supplies as well too. Is not available over there. So you got to take all your medical supplies. You got to take all your food. You got to take your shelter. You got to take all your weapons and everything like that there, and then you jump there, okay? And again, when you get there, you're not going to have guns everywhere like that. There, you still have to hunt around for it, So it continues that thing. Then it's cold, it's frigid, it's Namalsk survival. It's not normal Namalsk. It's Namalsk survival. So there's blizzards and cold, things. So it's a bitch. Honestly, it's a bitch, And we encourage people to go in groups because safety in numbers. See. Cherno is, like I said, split into PvE and PvP. Over there, it's full PvP. So people know the inherent risk. What we've also done as well, too, if you get killed over there, you don't respawn over there back in the Namalsk, you get kicked back to Cherno and you start all over again. So there's a massive risk there. And people like that, And, but you race around there, you get all the best guns, all the best loot. You can't build over there because we don't want people just sitting there.
Well, that's it. It would be pretty pointless considering you can't get any fucking food or shit there.
There are some animals that do run around there, but they're very, very, very few and far between. It's supposed to be a challenge, and I'm always, saying challenge. Challenge is what drives people to play.
What about fishing? Can you fish over there?
If you take enough hooks with you, yeah.
Yep.
But like I said, there's always exploits, and I have to give it to the DayZ players. Some of these guys, you just sit there going, the ingenuity of them. I'm like, you try and block off every exit like that there, but they find a way around it, and you're like, we're surviving because we're doing this. I'm like, I didn't think of that. Fishing was a big thing as well too, So what do we do? Well, okay, there's no, got the bone hook like that. They'll get you maybe 2 or 3 fish, but we'll stop. Spawning the fish hooks. But then they go ahead and there's a mod there, you can craft a fish hook from a nail. It's just kind of like, geez, not again. It's like a kid getting into the cookie jar. It doesn't matter how high you put it up there, someone's going to try and exploit it.
Yeah.
And but I love that about it. And we've got a good community, but they like that. But have that again, Cherno doesn't have any fuel on it as well too. So you have to travel to the miles. If you're on a car, you're gonna have to travel the miles, bring that jerry can back, and that's a golden commodity now.
Oh.
So what happened? Yeah. So we stopped that from happening. There might be one can of fuel around like that there, but everybody knows that they have to, if they want this good stuff, they want to have all these other things. They want to go and have a different experience. They jump to the mulch and they grab it and they bring it all back. That's the beauty of it. They can everything that they're carrying, everything they've got on them like that, they're able to bring it back to the other server, and it doesn't affect it. So it's this cycle. We did have Livonia on, but yeah, that was more like the bread basket.
Yeah, I had to jump on and move my character from Livonia. I jumped on again. And I saw the message that you're shutting the server down. I'm like, fuck, how do I jump? Where do I jump from? And I was looking around and I couldn't find the Churnerus port, but I just went to the nearest teleport link, and I was able to come across back to Churnerus from there. So I've got my character back.
Yeah, like I said, it's one of those things. I mean, map link is in beta. I mean, absolutely fantastic concept. I mean, it opens up the world so much, and if it's done correctly, then it can be beneficial. What you're saying before, that you can jump from here to here and just expand. There's no need for it. We really wanted to push. It's got its own character. There's a reason for it. There's this thing, and we do run ops over there. I think I'm doing one tonight. We'll take a group over just to have a look, because a lot of people kind of a little bit, I don't like PvP and I don't like that, but they're really anxious to see
which is understandable.
And the good thing about it, like I said, we cater for all. I mean, if you don't want to go into PvP zone, you don't have to. But if you love that PvP session, you go there, you can stay there and hunt. Or if you want to do survival, you can do survival. You'll press these visions to get to to there. So that as well too. MapLink is on there. We've got the AI bots which just cruise around as well too. They freak the shit out of some people.
Are they all PvP bots?
Yeah, we won't put them in the PvE area for
yep. But no, what I meant was more any of the bots, anything other than they'll just shoot at you if they see you.
Yeah, there's different settings on them. You can set them in a way that they can just be walking and patrolling, and they'll just walk past and just say something. You can stand in front of them and they'll just tell you in Russian, like, get out the way. And they won't shoot you. But as soon as you raise a weapon to them or you raise your fist, bang, they'll engage, which is quite cool. We had some police ones that used to patrol the traders area as well too. So people coming down there trying to shoot other people in the PvE zone. These guys, as soon as you raise a gun, they'll be on you like that scene out of the Matrix. Yep. And they all jumped all over Neo. And that was it. But I mean, again, I won't talk about the author, but yeah, to his credit, he's done something really, really. I mean, again, taking the engine from what it is, and then making something that was never designed or was never coded for it. The guys from AI and whatnot, I don't know where they are now, but like I said, they were making really good progress at the start. But I think maybe, like I said, I might have hit a brick wall. I don't know. But yeah, this guy, like I said, we invested back into the server because we felt that this was something unique and something that could work and what people really wanted. And I guess being Australian server as well too, we don't get the mainstream UK, big ones like that.
That's the big market in DayZ is the UK, EU region. I don't know what's happening in Asia with DayZ. We've covered some of a little bit before, but the language barrier is just a bit too much for us to be able to cover them a lot. But yeah, EU is where it's absolutely the same. But as an Australian, to start a server in the EU means it's pretty much unplayable for you. They're just so hard to play with that mid to high 300 ping.
I find that bad myself, but yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No, go on, mate, go on.
No, I talk too much, mate. You go.
Yeah, because I was just looking. Well, yeah, exactly. Fucking talk. But
Yeah.
right, I'll go and then you go. Right?
Well, while you two work out who's going to talk first, I'm going to go get another cuppa.
Right.
Yeah, fair it is. But yeah, because I was looking into the server and I see that, and I'm pretty sure you said before, but just for clarification for our viewers, for everywhere. So the server's currently based in Australia, is that right?
Correct.
And you don't have any other kind of servers out there, like any US servers or anything like that at all, no?
We had a US server on. It went really well at the start. But again, I don't know. What I've found so far is DayZ comes in waves.
Yes.
Yeah, and you have hot. It's a roller coaster ride. Sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low. It gets to a situation where it went quiet for quite a while, and I mean we have to it costs money, and we don't ask anybody for anything. We shoulder the cost ourselves as an admin team, and I mean when it's quiet for so long, well we're going to say sorry guys, but thanks very much, and that's it. We are looking at EU. Trying our luck over there and seeing if anyone's into it. The issue is, again, it's very much a niche. There's not everybody wants to play like that. And when the people that want to play like that or want to experience something new like that, they get into it, then that holds true. But
yeah, that's very true because it's I was just looking into it and I really want to try out the server. I really do, but obviously since it's based in Australia, playing it with the latency will be quite difficult. I know DayZ is relatively okay with trying to compensate for that, but for other people who might have a bit worse internet than myself, it could obviously be an issue. So I'm really looking forward to if you do decide to go ahead with an EU server that's a one-to-one copy of what you guys got down under. I think that would be really successful. At least I'd like to think, because the way that your server is from what you've described, it is a very unique perspective on how to actually achieve something, especially with the introduction of MapLink and going forward from that. Because a lot of servers, if they do use MapLink, they are typically very PvP centric, with the trader mods and whatnot. I know the people behind it, Damon Forge and Domgra, they have
people,
absolutely beautiful people. They've got a server. Kind of like their primary place for MapLink, and they've got a pretty unique setup there. But what you've got going is, it's hard to describe. I wouldn't say perfection, but it's an absolutely fantastic way to implement MapLink in such a way. So I would absolutely love to see you guys introduce that EU server, and it get popular. And I'm going to keep track of it. I want to try and make sure that development goes really, really nicely, and our EU folks, they take good care of it, and they actually fucking play on it, because holy shit, I don't want this idea to die. I want to try that out.
When we first heard about the MapLink, it's one of the things that excited me was the idea of you could have there's so many maps out there right now, and you could give each map a reason for people to want to go to them. One map spawns an excess of US military gear. Another map spawns only Soviet gear. Another map is abundant with animals. Another map, you could do like a Takistan or Quima, is where you go to get your oil. Being a desert map, oil and all the rest of it. So it's where you go to get fuel, and just give people a reason to keep moving around the map. But the only problem then is you need a massive player base. Otherwise, if you've only got a community of a few hundred people, when you dilute them between so many different maps,
it's your player base.
It's hard to find people when you're jumping between maps. But if there's a reason, it's a gold idea, and I love the fact that there is a community out there that's starting off with it. And hopefully this podcast brings a bit of awareness to what you guys are doing. And you are suffering because of being Aussie based. Although the servers aren't based in Australia, they're based in Singapore. Is that right?
The map link. Okay, so what we've done. This is the other thing as well too, probably. Yeah. What we done was we set the map link. The Mask map link is in Singapore because we had America as well too. We actually linked all three servers. So what would happen is that the US guys could jump across to Australia if they wanted to, like that there. But the hub was for them. The link there was Namal. So you'd actually have American players versing Australian players on a Singapore server. Because we put it to Singapore because it's looking a bit weird. We set it in Singapore to try and get the best ping for both. And look, we have a ping sometime about 200 over there, and none of our Aussie players have ever said we've never noticed any desync. And even the American players said the same thing. We've got American admins on our server, and they said they've got pings at 300, 400, something like that, and they have not noticed anything wrong with it. No desync, no nothing. So what I'm saying is that the people out there that are listening, if you are in the UK or like that there, give it a try. It's not bad. I mean, again, Arma 3 I used to play, the server was set up in the UK, and I was getting pings 300, 400, and I was racing around with the guys and all this stuff going on, testing and stuff like that, and I didn't notice any lag or desync at all. So
No, I play Singapore servers quite often from time to time, and I have no issue with them as well. I'm not sure what the ping is from the US to Singapore, but it's a pretty good midway point. But yeah, again, you're still suffering because the US player base is nowhere near as big as your European player base.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we started off with some, really good feedback, and people were just like, "Oh, this is amazing." It's like, well, it's just about thinking outside the box, and not following, the way that everybody is. Because I mean, that's the biggest issue I've found is there's 10,000 friggin' servers out there, and 95% of them are friggin' empty, and they're all the same crap. And you got to filter through it. We have people come in and on a daily basis and like, is this any good? Is this server any good? And the first thing is, the community. I mean, they're absolutely amazing bunch of guys, and they're saying, well, we've been here forever, and we're never leaving, because everything's here, and we've always tried to keep it fresh. It's always something new coming. It's never static. So we're always, like you're saying, trying to perfect it in that way. But like I said, MapLink took us to another level. The bots as well too. We've got other things that we're working on at the moment as well too to try and up it again. But changing the perception of what DayZ, is to what it can be is what we're trying to do. So we're moving away from that.
Now I have to ask something.
Sure.
The AI mod you have, is that Nightwolf?
No.
Oh, thank God.
Well, okay. Yeah, okay. I know there's a lot of shit out there about Nightwolf, and I don't know. A lot of people don't like him and for certain reasons, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know the full story. That he. So I've seen. I'm on his Discord, and I read a lot of his stuff.
I'll give you our point of view on him. The guy is an incredibly fucking talented modder.
Absolutely, yes.
And I am happy that he is monetizing and somehow managing to work around BI's models, but some of his business practices are fucking shitty.
Yeah. Well,
that's my view on Nightwolf. The guy is an amazing modder, but he does allegedly. I don't know. He's never done anything to me, but from what I've heard, he's done some pretty shitty things with threatening people and demanding more money and things like that. And it's always that thing where when money gets involved is when things start to go to shit. But yeah, so okay. No, I was just curious.
Yeah, no, that's not him. But no, look, what my understanding of it was that, I mean, there was one particular, like I said, I'm in his Discord, I did receive one particular customer that didn't bother reading the end user license agreement.
Yeah, and had the mod across too many servers.
Yeah, and I mean, you know what? And I look at it this way, okay, coming from a modder's background as well too. He's doing something like, again, he's amazing, talented guy. But you know, if you're not going to read the license agreement like that there, and you're going to get stung and say, well, you know what, you know, you've got 6 servers running. You know, this guy has made something, you know, really good. Why not show its support and do the right thing? If you've got 6 servers running, mate, well, you got some money. How about just giving me a little bit of a kickback, saying, you know, thanks very much. You know, I don't know what the other part of it is, mate, because I haven't come across it. But what I understood was that because he was putting backdoors in to stop mods from people from, you know, breaking his end user license agreement. And me personally, I find that that's completely acceptable. If you're going to agree to this stuff, you know full well from day one you're going to pay this much money for this. And if you're going to, you know, break that license agreement, well, you know, there's backdoors put in every software program these days, really. But again, I don't know that the actual internet.
Well, my issue with it is that he shouldn't be selling mods. Full stop. He's not allowed to.
Yeah.
That's where it kind of gets into that. It's in that fog area between making a profit off it, whereas also the monetization with Bohemia, because you have to jump through hoops for that.
Well, there's that, but there's so don't, for obviously clarification, you know, I do modding and that, and I've done commission based work, but the way that you're supposed to do it is when you do commission based work is that you provide the person with all the source files, all the configs, all the scripts, all the textures, all the models, completely unbinarized, completely sourced.
Yep.
And then you give it to them for the payments, and then they can pack it, and then they can put it in their 7 mod. That's fine. The issue is that a lot of people in the modding community have, especially with Nightwolf, apart from obviously what we've discussed with pushing people to pay more and stuff like that, and also the situation with the free helicopter mod that's out now. There's that situation as well. Is the fact that he's selling mods using BI tools, not providing sources, in putting in backdoors in stuff like that, which is obviously, it's very frowned upon in the modding community. I know when I started modding about a couple of years ago, from what I can remember, modding in DayZ was quite unfriendly, to say the least. It was like everybody was out for themselves, but now it's nowadays it's a lot more open, a lot more people, a lot more friendly with trying to help each other and sharing code and stuff like that. But with Nightwolf, he's very much, and don't get us wrong, I respect the guy for his talent. Nothing wrong there at all. You know, obviously respect where respect is due. But it is his practices that is a major downfall to his reputation. And don't get us wrong, any modder should be getting money for what they do. Nothing wrong with that. It's just how you go about it and the legality of that as well. Because you can't, to me at least, you can't, how would I say it? You can't have a go at other people for misusing your mod when you're misusing the tools yourself.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing as well.
Which is fair.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing as well, too. You're talking about the using Bohemia tools. You have to have a license for that. And I mean, if he's breaking that, then, well, I don't know. Haven't gone into that side of things.
No, that's understandable.
But yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, if you're using Bohemia tools, and you need a license, and to monetize that, I think that's probably the thing. But you know, again, you know, he hats off to him. He's a talented guy, really talented guy into what he's done. But yeah, obviously, you know, there's a backstory to that. But
I mean, there's a reason why a lot of players that use these mods, like his helicopter mod on servers that have bought it, there's a reason why people like it. They're not terrible mods by any means, and you know, if I remember rightly, his helicopter mod was the first proper one that was on the workshop, and then there was expansion helicopters and whatnot. And the expansion helicopters, they're a lot more, I wouldn't say clunkier, but they're a lot more rougher to use. They're a lot more, they got a lot more weight to it. Whereas Nightwolf's helicopters, for example, they are quite, they don't have as much weight to them, so they're easier to use and easier to understand, which is completely fair for the end user. I just wish that when people were creating these kind of revolutionary mods, money wasn't the first thing that came to mind. If there was another way they could make money that doesn't go against any misuse of tools and legality or anything like that, I'll be like, mate, fucking go for it.
Well,
but like I said, respect where respect is due. He's good at what he does. I just wish he'd done it a different way.
Well, I mean, this is the other thing as well. It'd be great for Bohemia to actually, like I said, if they could do what they've done for Arma and said, escape. Because I mean, this here, but again, we don't know what Bohemia's, pipeline is, or what they want to do with things, or where they are, or like that. So I mean,
that's it. Yeah.
I think it'd be great, because I think, but again, going back to what I said before, was that there's just one guy that does everything. It's not a team that's working on it, and you can't really change it up too much, because DayZ is DayZ. It's got its own feel about it. You can only change up certain elements of it like that there. But it
makes sense.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, I don't know the backstory of it, and like I said, I've seen on his Discord, and I've had a read of things, and some of the things there, I kind of sit there and go, well, you know what?
End of the day, look, I just wish BI had a better model out there. That we've talked about it so many times, and the approach they have for DayZ and even for Arma is pretty bad. I would love to see them have an ambassador program, or something where modders, once they've proven their weight, BI sets up a store and people can upload their mods to that, and then people, whatever model they come up with, whether a server can just pay a flat fee to purchase that mod to be used on their server, so it provides a stream of income, casual income, for people, because at the moment it's pretty much limited to people doing something along the lines of what you did with Arma, a big, massive community DLC, but that's years. And the planning that must have gone in behind the scenes to do that is probably something well and truly above what most casual modders can do. So it'd be great for BI to see BI introduce something that could allow modders who, once they've reached a certain level of expertise and a reputation, that their mods are, there's no hidden malicious codes and backdoors and all the rest of that sort of stuff, that they can then be added to this list and they can start making a few quid on the side. Yeah.
One thing that'd be interesting too is if they were to do like an incubator program for the community, because they offer that internally with their own developers. So people are able to bring their ideas in who work at Bohemia, and they will support them and allow them to work on their game projects. I know one of the games that got published through Bohemia, it's called like Ylands or something, was actually produced through their incubator project. Unfortunately, for the most part, it's limited to Bohemia employees. Something I'd like to see is if they made something like this for the community, for Arma or for DayZ, because having an incubator program like that could provide them the resources and the support to be able to do better, or create new things that may not have been possible without that support.
Could be something. I mean, I know when the new Arma title or Arma Reforged or whatever it's going to be fucking called comes out, they're going to be showcasing a lot more with Infusion, and they've also touted that they're going to have their own like kind of platform with Infusion to help. I think it's to do as well with consoles, and I think they were trying to give a platform for people who mod and create content to have somewhere where they can. To have their stuff for people to download, which would be really interesting stuff for the console folks. But I would imagine they would try and do something like that on their own platform. Therefore, they can get around with stuff with like Steam and stuff, how they do things there, and have something dedicated where Bohemia have a full control and full reins of how finances go, how donations and all paid content goes and stuff like that. I think that would be a really, really good platform for them to go forward with that, because right now to do it through Steam, it's a fucking pain in the ass.
Got a question for
sure.
you,
Pain in the
Sgt
ass.
Savage. What's DayZ modding like compared to Arma modding?
Well, again, I think the thing that stands out the most is that is how, I won't say segregated, but how separate the community is compared to that. Again, going back to what I was saying before, is that DayZ, it's its own game. I mean, what are you going to be able to change up? What are you going to be able to mod? You can mod certain elements of it, but you can't change like what we done with a total conversion. You know,
well, I saw it before. I think it was Mel said it. That the Praerie Fire really deserved to be called an expansion as opposed to just a community DLC. Because you guys, it would have had to have created the whole pile of new assets and all the rest of it. Something we've not really seen people do with DayZ too much. About the only one I can really think of off the top of my head is Banov and some of the houses in that.
Well, yeah. Well, again with Banov as well too. That was a third-party developer that actually made those houses and he's imported them like that to make it look like make it look like Europe. I mean. Banov's a big map. It's a huge map. We played on it for a while, but we just felt that Cherno was much more stable because there was a lot of changes over there every day. And me personally didn't like the fact that it was going to alien territory like that. There, it was kind of getting away.
I saw your comment in the Banov Discord. I saw about that. Yeah.
I'd say he's honestly, he's a great. Criticism. Yeah, he is an amazing talent guy. I mean, the way he set it up and that day, he's an extremely good map maker. Just getting the feeling, and we listen to the players that are on our server. This is getting ridiculous, and this is changing all the time, and you got to. It's all. I've just built a base, and now it's all. It's all enclosed. I'm inside another building like that. There, you need stability like that there, especially for the long haul. Because I mean, we are a long-term server. So we even do seasons as well too. I'll do spring, summer, autumn, and winter, and I'll change. With the add-ons that are out there on the mods that are out there, we'll change that transition. I couldn't really do that there, unfortunately, only from winter to there.
Another question I have for you is something I've seen people time and time again ask for is a jungle map for DayZ. Now, you made a jungle map for Arma. Based on your experience, how hard would it be to create a jungle map with custom jungle assets for DayZ, or is that just something that's not possible?
It's possible. Extremely a lot of work. I mean, going back to what we see is in the Unsung and the DLC to a point as well too, that there was assets that came from the Apex mod that Bohemia actually released. Apex, and it was based on the Fijian Islands. We used a lot of content from that particular pack in the mod. To create the jungle, and when we add a little bit more to it, so to go through and actually do that, that's probably just the assets alone, at least a year or two works just to do that. And I mean, honestly, what would be your theme to that? You have a jungle map. What this is the other thing as well too, is that there's geometries on the trees. There's walking waypoints and stuff.
One of the first things I'll give you about what I like the idea of a jungle map is being an Australian, having been a soldier based in North Queensland, which is the tropical area of Australia. Is one of the things I love about Namolsk is the freezing aspect that the game gives you. Whereas if you created a good jungle map like a Vietnam or something like that, it'd be the exact opposite of it. Hydration would be your enemy. Staying hydrated, because for those who've ever lived in a true tropical environment, my God, you sweat like you did not know it was possible to sweat. I still remember back in 1991 when I first arrived in Townsville, and it was the middle of their winter, and I'd just come from Singleton in New South Wales, which was...
it's my hometown. I was born there.
Okay, so one of those areas where in the middle of winter, you step outside, the grass crunches under your feet because it's frozen. And I got off the plane and walked onto the tarmac in Townsville, and I was like, this is winter? Are you fucking kidding me? And luckily I arrived there in winter because I was able to semi-acclimatise, but I still was absolutely stunned that there was a place on this planet where even when you were in the shade with a breeze, you still could not stop sweating. Because the humidity gets up into the high 90s where it's not actually raining, but there is just that much humidity that you just cannot stop sweating. I have never drunk so much in my life, both alcohol and water. I love the idea. This is the nerd in me coming out, the Boydie likes the cock and ball torture of fucking DayZ. I love the idea of a jungle map where, again, another aspect of it, you get a little bit of it in Livonia with that thicker sort of undergrowth that Livonia has. A jungle map where encounters are at close range. You're going to hear the person, and then, Melkart's got a bit of it with the tall grass and that. And then just this constant sweating, and if that's a mechanic that can be put into the game, I would wet myself if someone released a jungle map like that.
Yeah. The one big issue that comes up to me too, I think of jungle maps and how dense the foliage and stuff would be, is the performance and how that would affect players on different levels of PCs. Even when Essiker first came out in its first revision, so many people were having issues with frames, and it got fixed, but it was pretty rough at first. Some people, when they went into the main areas, they couldn't run that. It was like a projector. So to make something as detailed as a forest or a jungle and having that kind of environment, you need to do a lot in regards to the environment design to be able to really execute it properly. Because anyone could do a jungle, but it's just there's different. It may not what crosses that. It could feel more as a forest, but you really need to work with those assets to be able to expand the atmosphere enough where you feel like you're in that deep jungle. You're in the you're in the bush. It's that kind of stuff, and how much that would affect people. Because not everyone has amazing computers that could run beautiful maps like that in that sense. So
yeah.
Well, that said as well too, Essica, I've had a quick run on it as well too. See, a lot of the issue is there's too many objects clumped close together. So your card's forever trying to render all these individual objects and different textures and stuff like that. Whereas if you're making a jungle map like we done, you can use the same assets over and over again. Now the ground clutter is usually two-dimensional, so it doesn't take up that much. And it's spooled out to about probably 150 meters, so that's not.
Yeah, it's quite low. Yeah.
Yeah, it gives that effect. But I mean, if you're standing on a hill and you can see a guy running across, he's got nothing around him, but he thinks he's in, he's in cover, but he's not. But again, the same thing applies if there's too many objects like buses or any 3D objects that are buses and other bits and pieces and houses and stuff like that. That too close and clumped together, it can slow performance down because it's just a massive pothole where your cards and machines running overtime to try and render all that in one area. Whereas if you made a forested area, again using the same assets over and over and over and over again, you couldn't make it as thick as you wanted to, as you always want to, but you have to try. There's always a trade-off. But you're right. I mean, it's possible. It's definitely possible. But is DayZ really, the community really willing to do that? I mean, I've just seen the departure of Ragged, and he's left the community because he's been fed up because people have been hanging shit on him and saying that this and that there, and I don't know what's behind it. I personally don't think that he should have done what he's done. He's ripped off all his mods all off the workshop.
And then just left.
Yeah, it's just like
for a server. I
know he's pissed off and that there, but it just sounds to me like the case of screw you guys. I'm taking my toys and I'm going home. I don't. I really liked Reagan. I've got a lot of respect for him, but when he done that, I was kind of like, is this how it is here in DayZ? Is this? I mean, you get a little bit of criticism. And we used to get it all the time back in Unsung days, but you know what? You wade through it. you kind of push away the negative comments and you look at the ones that actually do matter, and that's the one that keeps you driving forward.
Yeah. I think with that situation as well, what contributed to it as well is mods that would purposely break part of vanilla, so it would prioritize their mods, and servers would running both his vehicle mods and this other mod. I won't say specifics I don't want to give that particular mod more publicity. And people would complain to him a lot, and they would be extremely, absolutely horrible with what they were saying to him in regards to, you know, his character, who he is as a person, and his mod. And it would go on, and it was so much, and so on and so on. And at the end of the day, when you're creating content for free, for the goodness of your heart, and you want to progress the community, there's only so much that any reasonable person can take. And yeah, you can argue it's the internet. It's one of those things that you just put up with. Well, people don't want to spend their free time.
Going on in a person's personal life as well. Exactly. It could have just been the straw that broke the camel's back. I agree. It was shitty to lose him and some of his amazing mods, but at the end of the day, again, this is, you know, it ties back to what we were talking about. If there was a more professional system where they were uploaded, and you know there was like you were entering into a legal agreement with BI, then you know we wouldn't see things like this happening. You know, it's a win-win-win in every way that I think of. You know, in that there's a financial incentive for modders to continue to support and update their mods, and yeah, just. It's sad. It's really sad.
It's similar to what Minecraft adopted recently with their Minecoin system. What they're doing now is they actually have a shop built into the game where content creators developers and modders can partner with Minecraft, and if they're making maps or texture packs or resource packs, they can have their work put up on the Minecraft store. And Minecraft has their own currencies for it, so that you have to buy Minecoins. Then for every purchase, the creator gets a certain cut of that Minecoin that they can then convert back to real money. So I'm not saying that Bohemia should exactly work off of how they're doing it. It's an interesting idea to see a game take that approach, because it's one of the only games that not only does that on PC, but it also has that on Xbox as well and PlayStation. So it's got that cross-platform ability where they can upload their mods, have it accessible to every console and every platform. So it'd be interesting to see Bohemia adopt something similar to that, but I don't think adding something like a currency
BI is still fairly new to the console side of things as well, aren't they? DayZ and Vigor are their only console products that I'm aware of. And what, sorry?
Yeah. No, that's it.
That's just, it, yeah. So
it's just them
maybe it's stuff they are looking at. You know, none of us are BI employees, so maybe that's something they are looking at down the line.
It would definitely be interesting to see that, because that would fix a lot of the issues that a lot of people are having, you know, and especially for the console community. Something that could add could fill the empty hole that they're having too. But one thing I've spoken to you guys about before too is the legality of it. You know, there's a lot of legality that goes into modding for console, and there's a lot of licensing that has to be done between developer Bohemia and these companies like Sony and Microsoft, because they've got very strict policies and guidelines when it comes to what can be published and what they can do, because Xbox and Microsoft and Sony don't want to get screwed over, you know, so they have to be very strict, because if something is on there, they're held liable as well. It's not just Bohemia, but Microsoft and Sony are also held liable for whatever it is, you know. So if someone infringes on like licensing, or there's like there's plagiarism or like copyrighted content, you know, they're also taking the hit as well. So to make sure that they would have to really work with that, and they would have to work with these companies to make sure they'd be able to get something good, because they can't just come out one day and be like, okay, we're adding mine to console now, because not only could they risk having their games pulled off the stores, but they could also have legal action put against them from these game companies, you know, and from these studios. So it's something that it's going to be hard to do, but if they were to play their cards right, it's definitely possible. I say possible with you know, you got to take that with a grain of salt, because it's not it's hard to do. It's like saying it's possible doesn't mean it's easy. There would be a long road to do, and like a long road to go down, and it's not just a simple. I'm modding now, you know.
Well, that's
it would probably take months and years of work to try and get something that even works properly in that sense, you know.
I mean, cross-platform development as well too. It's very, very difficult, you know.
Yeah.
With a PC-based game, I mean, you got to rewrite completely different codes and stuff like that to make this work. It's not just a matter of porting it over and then here you go, there it is. There's a lot more involved into it too. So
yeah,
exactly, you know, and a lot of people don't realize that, and a lot of them think it's just as simple as going on black plate carriers. So I want to put them on the console. You know, it's not as easy as just getting those. You know, there's so much that has to be done with like the modeling and the assets and stuff, and a lot of the assets that are used on mods on PC have third-party assets that are sourced from like games or studios, and sometimes they wouldn't be able to publish those on console because it's a breach of license, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. There's a lot of legal things hurdles you have to jump over. But I mean, I guess I've never played console. I mean, the last console I had was a PlayStation 1. Yeah, PlayStation 1. So and I've always been PC. So like I said, I didn't only up until just recently seeing how far behind the consoles are. You know, I mean, and we've had a lot of players actually jump over from console, and they're like, "What the hell? This is amazing!" It's like, it's terrible, you know. And they're like, "I didn't know you could do that. Oh my god!" And they're just like the kid, the game store, they're running around there doing this, doing that. Yeah. Can you do this? Get DayZ dogs. You got dogs? I'm like, yeah, mate. Yeah. You can actually feel this. Yeah, you can actually do that, and it's great, you know, because it's opening their eyes. But what's it doing? I mean, you know, DayZ is an old game now. It's an old game, but it's still got plenty of fire in it. It's
the thing too is it's a gift and a curse in that sense because it brings so many people over the PC from console.
Yeah.
But a lot of what I always say in the past is a lot of the people that are very passionate about the game on console and love it and they want to do more for the community, they don't stick around too long. They move over to PC. You know, so there's not a lot of people on console that are trying to do more and bring out the fire in console and trying to do more for the community because most of these people either just stop playing the game or they want to bring their work to PC because they know they have more support there. They have a bigger community there, and ultimately they'd get a lot farther with what they're doing, you know. So sad in that sense.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, sorry. Oh, okay.
It's all good. Or having one of these again.
I just want to reiterate what Lad was saying. What was saying the lad earlier when you went off and made your coffee there, 40. That you know, DayZ comes in waves as well too. You know,
yes.
It always seems to it's gravity. Or you know, you eventually swirl around. You always come back to it. There's a lot of players I know that leave for a year and they come back and they're just kind of like, wow, you know, this is insane how it's changed. But like, again, this is with all servers, especially in Australia. There's a lot of waves. You know, all of a sudden you're sharing.
Sorry to interrupt, Buddy. You're sharing your PayPal on stream.
Thank you.
So that happens, doesn't it? I don't have a.
Sorry, continue.
It's all right. No, he's got your back, brother. See, that's good. But getting back to it, it's like saying, you know, it's waves of you know. Of interest, and I mean, you know, when we get, you know, you get those streamers that come through, all of a sudden there's a massive influx of people, and it's like, wow, you know, what's going on here? And it's like, oh, everyone, you know, DayZ's new again, you know, but it is
like when Frankie used to play the mod, and how that just brought so much attention to the mod, and when he was doing videos, everyone wanted to see it. Everyone was waiting for the new Frankie video to come out, you know. Everyone wanted to see what he was doing, what the new mission was, what the new cinematic piece was that he was working on, because he was one of those bigger people back in the day, and because of that really brought up the numbers for the mod, and that brought attention to it, and that is one of the things that led to it becoming a standalone, because they actually got that big community that hopped on it, because a lot of people before that didn't know what DayZ was, they didn't know what the mod was. So to have those early pioneers make content for it and try and get the community together is one of the big things that caused Standalone to happen, because if it wasn't for the community support and the outreach from the community and the absolute outpour of people that just wanted to happen, it would probably be a mod to this day, you know? It probably would have never come out of and become a standalone game. But it's the fact that there were so many people out there that were so passionate and had such a desire to see it become something. Bohemia saw that, and they saw what the community wanted, and they looked at that, and they said, we can work with this. This is something we can work with and make more out of, And it's a big thing in that sense. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's it. It's just... It's one of those things.
It makes you think, too, where we'd all be right now if it was still a mod. If it didn't become standalone, if Bohemia didn't take the rights out of it. Makes you wonder what direction DayZ would have taken and where the modding community would be right now,
Arma 3 mod. There would have been an Arma 3 mod and would all be...
there is an Arma 3 mod. There is an Arma 3
mod.
And
it's shit.
Yeah. So it makes you think in that sense,
it's okay, but it's an okay mod. But yeah, I mean, it is hard to... It's hard to see... Because, you say that, but it's like DayZ Standalone's made a profound effect on the video game industry as itself. Spawning so many different... Well, DayZ essentially spawned a bloody genre, with Battle Royale. Well, not DayZ, but the Battle... Oh, shut up, you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, H1Z1, which earlier on was one of the bigger competitors for DayZ, was branching out and doing stuff like that, and they were making the Battle Royales and stuff. And I think ultimately that's what caused their demise, because they spread themselves too thin. They were trying to do a lot more than just focusing on the base game for H1Z1. Yeah. And I think that's really why their server shut down and that game died, because DayZ, on the other hand, was focusing specifically on that. They weren't making Battle Royales, they weren't making game modes or anything. They were just concentrating on the base game on its own, And that's what's kept it going, and that's what's made it better than a lot of zombie games or even just the survival games in general, because a lot of these games are trying to put way too much on their plate, and when they actually go through and start working on all of it, they don't have the money or the resources or even the team to make it to follow through with it,
Yeah,
it has to be determination. There has to be a plan as well too, and you always start off with the core first. And you stick to that, because I mean, you get this thing what we affectionately call feature creep. I mean, a lot of the time, they get in there and you think, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want that, but you have no idea or plan structure to get to there.
And it's the same thing with servers too. Like, just at a small level of servers, there's so many people out there who make servers thinking, oh yeah, this will be easy. I want to make this, and that. Then no one plays, or they get players, but they don't know how to manage them. They don't know they don't have an image for their server. They don't know what it wants to become, and ultimately a lot of these servers die out because they can't get the funding for it or the support to keep it going.
Exactly right. Yeah. But I mean, it all comes back to planning and having your own theme, and again, with FTG as well too. It's the same thing, is that to break the mold, give something different than everybody else has got, original ideas and stuff like that, to try and encourage the community to say, hey, have a look at this. This is something different. It's not just run of the mill. And again, you've got 1SK and stuff like that, and then now I think it's Rearmed or something just came in, and they're from over in the US, and they're crashing through the numbers right now. But obviously there's a I won't say a market, but there's an interest in that there, because it's full all the time. But yeah, like, DayZ's got a lot of potential. I look at the engine and I see what can be done, and looking very promising. But what I'm really looking forward to is the new vehicle physics that are coming.
Oh man, yes.
And I thought that was going to be in 117, and obviously it's not. But from what I can see on the feed and stuff like that, it looks like it's just another mediocre one, and I'm kind of a bit bummed out about it, because I was really looking forward to that. But obviously, if and when that comes, I mean, that's fantastic, because I think that's really going to make it a lot better. But I've noticed that only incremental steps, apart from, what was it, 1.5, where they introduced the gas zones.
Yeah, I think so. 114. 114. Yeah.
114. Yeah, and it was a trend, like that was like a big one, and I still sit there going, what were they thinking? Why this? It doesn't make sense on why they'd do this. But then it's become everyone's got used to it now. It's kind of like, okay, well, this is how it is. It's gas zones. But again,
well, believe it or not, even gas zones were actually discussed going as far back as 2015 and 2016.
Yep.
If you take a look back at the old internal Trello for the dev team, you can take a look. You can see into a lot of the stuff they were working on, and unfortunately, when that team started to shrink, they weren't able to do a lot of the ideas they had, and they lost the chance to make a lot of that stuff.
The original focus was going to be Tizzy as a toxic zone.
And they're like, even the concept art for that came out recently, and they had like the helicopter in the background, and they had like the mass graves around it, and it's interesting to see that kind of stuff, because it makes you think what could have been. Like, what if all this stuff came in back and they had the team back in the day? Where would it be now? Where would DayZ be now if they followed through with it? Would it be good? Would it be bad? No, it's an interesting thing to think about in that sense.
I think I can understand where people might come from in terms of like the addition of toxic zones, where it's like, well, okay, well, what's the point? And I think it's very important for a game to include an actual, not only video game reason, but in terms of DayZ, a game which has notoriously had very little story assigned to it officially. With the past year, with what Scotty's been doing, the current community manager, he's been doing absolutely fantastic. And, starting the story of Hannah.
Actually, I want to quickly on that point. The community spotlight talked about modders. I was so fucking happy. It was like, thank you. I know we have been fucking riding his hard about this, but they made my day when I saw modding included in the community spotlight. It was also a bonus that it was Dumpgra, but yeah.
Yeah, and I was talking to Dumpra last night about that too, and the big thing is, he was like one of the very first people that was regarded into, like, it was spoken about in the highlight about modding, because usually it's always focused on the maps, it's focused on like that kind of aspect of modding, but it's never really the actual other stuff. And he was one of the first people that actually have that recognized, and it's really cool to see that, because it's going to pave for the future of what could be done, and that could open up new ventures for like the boot camps, like a DayZ boot camp, stuff like that. And it shows that they're trying to really focus in on and support the community and support the modding community more,
Mm-hmm. And well, that's it. And it was a good community spotlight, but I want to get back to that in a short while. I want to go back to what we're discussing just before. With the introduction of toxic zones, I thought it was an absolutely fantastic idea. It really refreshed the game for a lot of people. It reinvigorated numbers, sales, everything like that. And it was absolutely brilliant. And with the latest update, it's a minor update, but it's a brilliant one as well, because not only we're seeing old content come back finally. It might not be my Red 9, but it's a P1 pistol, so that's same era, so I'll take it. But it also introduced, with what's one of the people in our team, DanceofJesus, is capable of. Also introducing more lore items and setting up more further foundations for the future of the game, because you may be aware, but for people who watch the podcast and not, the way that the roadmap is going to be split up is 4 minor updates and 1 major one. And the first update of the year is always typically the foundation update, of like setting up the stands for the rest of the updates for the year. And a lot of people that want, bows, crossbows, all that kind of shit. Fixed cars is the most notable comment that you see. And I'm still waiting for the infusion vehicles. I'm really excited for that. I am a bit disappointed that we've got 117 first before that. So I can only imagine they would decide to say, right, 117 is out. Here's the infusion vehicle test. We're going to be running this until 118 experimental. Have fun.
Well, you got to think of it this way too. I'd much rather, if they're sitting on all this new content, I'd much rather have them release it than hold on to it and wait for the vehicles, because I'm much happy that they did this, because they at least gave us something. If they were to hold off until the vehicles came out, we wouldn't have anything like right now. You know, there'd be nothing to fill the void. But at least they're giving us a few little crackers. You know, they're throwing us some brownies that would at least give us the energy to keep going. And I'm happy in a sense that they didn't do that, because it gives them more time to work on it. Because if they were rushed to release the vehicle physics, or not even fully released, but put into beta 1.17, may not have had a chance to do a lot of the stuff they were working on, or be able to fully get the functionality working on the hybrid engine. So it's a matter of like the whole quantity versus quality sort of thing, you know.
Well, that's
because I'd much rather wait longer to get the vehicles if I know I have the promise of the end return of them being better. You know, if it means a week, if it means a month, I would much rather take that time to know that in the end it'll come out much better.
It's the other thing as well too.
Yeah.
Sorry, lady, you go, man.
No, that was literally all I wanted to say.
I'm doing this a lot to you today. I don't know, you want to have me back here again.
I know, right?
Sorry, brother. And that I think people have to realise as well too is that, you know, when it's out the gate as well too, it's probably not going to work as good as everybody thinks it's going to. There's going to be hot fixes and fixes up after it. I don't believe they'd have they do a lot of their beta testing and stuff like that on experimental. But, you know, I think it's going to change a lot of things. I mean, this is the other thing as well too. How is this going to affect the modders out there that have made these vehicles and stuff like that? They're going to have to rewrite a lot of stuff as well too. It's going to break a lot more than people think. Unless
not a lot of people have thought about that yet. You know, what's the lasting effect going to be? You know.
Well, aren't the helicopters based on vehicles as well, aren't they?
Funnily enough, I found that experimental actually has better flight physics than the actual main. That being said, there's a lot of things you can do on experimental that you can't do on main. I don't know if they're going to drag that across. I don't. Who knows? But yeah, you know, once you change the core of something, that's why everything breaks. You know, and I mean,
it's going to get to a point where they can only clear out so much of the old stuff, where it's going to come to that point where they are clearing, like you can build a new house on an old foundation. Eventually that foundation is going to degrade over time and it's going to collapse, and regardless of how beautiful your mansion is going to look, it's still going to get fucked up either way, you know. Exactly. It's still going to come crumbling down.
We have talked modding and all the rest of it for a long, long time. 2 hours we've been going on the guest, which is I think a record for us. We've got some other things we do need to talk about, guys, so we need to move the chat along. So we've got the community spotlight that came out, and I was so blown away when I saw it. You know, the fact that they talk about Deer Isle. They shared the Deer Isle trailer. John McClane has done an amazing job. Just, you know, the level of detail he's put into that map. It's not officially released just yet. He hasn't given an exact date that I'm aware of yet. The most he said was spring. So I'm excited for when that comes around, because I believe DayZ Down Under is looking at it, and I've deliberately avoided it because I wanted to wait for a good server here in Australia that I could play it on. But yeah, I'm so looking forward to it. Then we've got a track. I won't play it. It's all in the community spotlight. But here's the one that excited me. When I saw this, I was like, oh, yes, Dumpgrass Fortification mod.
About fucking time too.
I would be blown away if they actually reached out to him and added this into the vanilla version of the game somehow, because he's put so much work into it, hasn't he, lad?
I mean, he absolutely has. There's been so much time, so much effort that's gone into it, and you know, he's took some really, really good advice from people, very good, criticism. And he's been doing an absolutely brilliant job with it. And it's about time that he has actually got full proper recognition for what he's done, and you know, for a lot of base building mods, his is, I'd like to say, it's the most consistent, and you know, everything is done with obviously the player in mind, but he's also one for authenticity and realism. You know, on his textures, for example, if you see a plank of wood or like one of his parts that on the texture, it's got 20 nails in it, you're damn right that's actually going to cost 20 nails, for example. And it's that level of detail which a lot of mods, well, some mods I would say don't quite get right. So for them to actually say and showcase building fortifications, absolutely brilliant. And it's recently
apparently
surpassed
they did showcase a mod previously, but it turned out some of the assets were stolen or something.
Yeah, the assets. Some assets were ripped, so they weren't vetted, which was obviously a mistake on the media department. And you know, obviously they've took time to assess it, and they've got more involved with the community, which is great. Which is something they should have done from the start, I feel, and actually take a look to see of what people have been doing. And I'm hoping that they do this more and more.
Yeah.
And like I was just about to say before, the mod has got 76,000 subscribers, and he's a one-man band for this particular mod. And it's years of learning and preparation, a lot of you know, how would I say it? A lot of failure as well. But he's finally got it.
Trial and error.
I'm proud of him.
Trial and error.
That's a trial and error.
Yeah,
And he's
one thing,
done it, and I'm happy.
Yeah, and in the short time that I've known him, the one thing I've always noticed is he's passion driven. He pours his heart into every single project he works on, no matter good or bad, rain or shine. He's always trying to put 110% into everything. That's just one of the amazing qualities about him, you know.
Yeah.
And it's very draining, but the fact that just every day he wakes up and he's ready to do it, you know, it's amazing to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a big inspiration for a lot of people out there who want to get into modding, because he's like a ray of sunshine for a lot of those people, you know.
Yeah. I did have to laugh at the screenshot Jedi Masters at work. Yeah, we had that one where we talked about it a few months back, where people got upset that the screenshot competition that DayZ did was won by all the pros at it, and then they do screenshots again, and it's two of the pros. They didn't do DanceofJesus because I don't think they can do it anymore now that he's an employee.
No.
But yeah, Wellerton and Mike Doherty creating screenshots in DayZ Editor. Great little video, that one. You need to go watch that one, folks. But it was awesome to see Wobo getting a shout out again.
Yeah.
He's just he's awesome. Freshborns as well. Yeah, there's been this. You were talking before. Savage, about DayZ has its ebbs and its flows. One of the things I've loved is just the constant influx of new blood that on the content creator side of things, which is exposing new people. You know, we talked about Zesty Polvo quite a bit. You've got Freshborns. There's just all of these people coming up now who are just killing it and growing and growing and growing. Now, I saw JLK posted, he's hit 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. Nazar has got videos with 1 million views. Fubar Bundy, I know he's not fresh blood, but his sniping people over 1 mile or 1 kilometre video has got 2 million views on it now. You know, despite what people have said, it's so far from a dead game. There's just so much happening.
100%. I mean, it comes back to how the game is based as well too, because it's so open. You can do a lot with it. You can do anything that you get in the game. I think that appeals to a lot of players. You're not forced down a corridor. You have to do this or that. You can do whatever you want. You can be like that. You can put on this alter ego as well too, and become a bandit or this that there. But and people love that freedom. And I guess that's what we were talking about before. It's just to change the dynamic. This is how you want to play it, And that's what appeals to people. You're going to have like-minded people saying, oh, I don't like that, and I want to do this, and that's fine. There's no criticism. But yeah, I mean, DayZ is definitely not going to die. And it's got a lot. It's still, like I said, 2013 it came out, isn't it? It's 2013.
Yeah,
same year as Arma. But Arma's going to be tired. But yeah, it's still running. But DayZ still, like you say, pumping. But I think a lot of people get. Sorry.
No worries. I was just going to say, and the smart choice that DayZ did too is they left the story in the hands of the viewer, so they're not shoehorned in a sense into any sort of demographic or type. They get to, each player in their own gets to think up what it is, what the outbreak is, what the zombies are. So it's infinite possibilities in regards to replayability in that sense, because it's left at the discretion of the players. There's no real lore, and you could see that negatively, but it's good in the sense that it leaves that up to the community to do that for themselves.
We've said it time and time again on this show that if you're bored with DayZ, the problem is you, not the game, because it's a blank slate and you can do whatever you want in this game. Be a good guy, be a bad guy, be both, be neither, be just anything. You can go play on a server and create the latest how a 9,000 hour veteran fucking, I don't know, bloody robbed an entire server of their virginity or whatever the crazed video is going to be. But you can do anything. You can do anything at all. You've got Jill, who just sets up a fishing shack and feeds weary travellers as they're on their way around. And you've got Sarah Moore and Uncle Ray Ray, who are just crazy bastards who murder everyone. And the PvP kings, Taupe and Minder and all the rest of them, and just anything and everything in between. It's just a blank slate. Do whatever the hell you want, and that extends to creating a community as well, a server. You can theme your server however you want. Like what you're doing with the Full Tilt, and then you've got other communities like Rearmed, where it's almost Tarkov-y. It's a blank slate. Do what you want with it. And if
it's your story.
Yep. That's part of the slogan. It's your story. Make of it what you will. But yeah, bit of feedback on 1.17 so far. I saw a comment which made me laugh. I can't remember where I saw it. It might have been on a video, but someone said they can't understand why they don't have throwing animations for spears. Yeah, and I was like, it's a whole new mechanic. It's just frustrating for me that we don't have bows and arrows, and that we're able to throw things at people. But someone did make an interesting comment that with the Namolsk mod, I think it was Helkiana's snowball mod, you can throw snowballs at people and it does a small amount of shock damage.
Yeah.
Why has that not been extended to other items in the game? And if so,
I saw that thread. Yeah,
could that be weighted? If you throw a hammer at someone, could you set that if you hit them, there's a chance to knock them out?
I'm surprised that hasn't been a feature yet. I am genuinely surprised, because I know there's some mods out there which also include adding sounds to when an object falls on the ground.
Contact
when
sounds,
you throw
yeah.
something. Yeah, so it's like, I'm really surprised that they haven't gone for that extra step and done that, and I would absolutely recommend they should. It could probably, if nobody's done it yet, I haven't checked the feedback track in a while. If a task is made like on the feedback tracker and it gets a lot of traction, maybe we could see it in one of the future updates. I wouldn't imagine it would be. Then again, I'm not much of a scripter, so I can't sit here and say it. I wouldn't imagine it'd be too hard, because there's probably a lot more complex reasons why it's not in yet. But if there's a push for it, then that would really bridge the gap.
Yeah, imagine being able to bean someone with a can of beans.
Yeah.
Mate, that would be fucking sick.
Instead of just holding it in your hand and punching them, being able to peg them from a distance, knock them out, and it'd be a bit like the old sharpened stick, the old pointy stick, bit of an equalizer. Sneak up on the geared guy on the coast and chuck a can of beans and hit him in the head and knock him out and steal all his gear and tie him up and you got beaned, motherfucker.
Well, that's
like the rocks,
Yeah,
tossing rocks at people.
Yeah.
certainly interesting. I mean, there's probably a lot that goes into that as well too. I couldn't say, but looking from my point of view, there'd be a lot of issues like trying to, the physics of the rocks as well too. They fly in a trajectory. They don't just fly, free fall in the air. They actually have a planned trajectory where you actually throw them, depending on how long you hold the key down for. So to actually hit someone with it, it has to have, other hit points on the player.
Collisions too is a big thing.
Collisions, yeah.
Just quickly, guys. Just quickly. You've got 3 minutes left to type ! raffle in chat to win a DayZ podcast coffee mug. Just felt being generous. We've had a pretty good podcast so far, so it's one of these, the big 15-ounce one, perfect for your morning coffee. I am on to my third already, and yeah, it's a great way to watch the show.
See, the thing is with the throwing stuff is that objects already collide with the player. If you hit them, they do move slightly. They don't do like a prop animation, but they do shuffle. So there is something already there in place for if an object does hit a player, what happens. So if they really expand on that and they actually go forward to really to flesh that out, we could probably see, like, if an object collides with a player, it'll play like the shock animation, does 5 points of shock damage or something like that with a shock multiplier on how much it replenishes and stuff like that based on the object, based on the weight on the mass of the object. If you get whacked with like a rock or something like that, it'll dome you a little bit, it'll do whatever. But if somebody decides to throw like a full can of like beans at you, then that shit's gonna fucking hurt, right? Especially if it hits you right in
from what level you're throwing at. Like if you throw it off the building, the speed of it falling down, because there's gravity that plays into that. It's if you toss it on someone that you're staying next to, it's not going to be that bad. But if you're standing on top of like a building or the skyscraper Novo, and you drop that down and hit someone, that would be like an insta kill. You would like it'd be interesting in that sense.
You could script it. You could easily script it in a way that you can take out all the middle part as well too. So as from background as well too, looking at issues and trying to work workarounds. You could actually script it so when that particular object gets close enough to the player, it can inflict damage like a zombie hit. So you can actually do it that way and take out all the rest of the stuff that says that you've got this position of this object in space and then it's in close proximity and it's in throw status. It can actually, simulate that someone's getting hit. It doesn't actually have to. And
it would add that gradient to it too, because early, you wouldn't always take the same amount of damage from every single point where someone throws something at. They could throw it harder or farther, and you're not always going to get that same when you get hit by the cans. I mean, I personally haven't had any cans of beans thrown at me in my lifetime, so I can't say for sure, but...
I have 4 daughters. Always throwing shit at me. But yeah, I mean, there's ways you could do it. You could script it in that way, probably a quick way without having to do the trajectory type of things, but just to have it in close proximity, it could detect when a can of beans has been thrown. If yes, the can of beans is in flight and it's in with a certain radius around the person, then it can inflict damage. So there's ways you can script it like that, and I'm sure that likes of Dimitri and that there. I mean, he's a crazy guy with things like that. He's very, very talented. Could do something very similar like that. So yeah, I mean, that could be. That is definitely possible. But
one thing I was thinking too.
By the way, just quickly, congratulations, Ison. You won the mug, mate. Click on the link and follow the details, and it'll get sent out to you ASAP. Congratulations.
Fucking
one big issue is with throwable objects. If they were to go into sharp objects, that would have to be a completely different mechanic, because like if you see in Rust, when someone throws a sharpened stick at someone and just bounce off them, it actually sticks in the player, Mm-hmm. That's the real thing, If I throw like a knife at someone, it's not just going to bounce off them. Well, I mean, depending on what side of the knife hits them, it's going to like actually stick in them, And they would have to do so much for that, and it would be such a headache. And I'm assuming that's the same reason why bows and arrows haven't been seen in yet, because the arrow wouldn't just hit you like a bullet and be gone. you probably have an arrow sticking through you, but there's a lot that goes into that.
From memory, even with the Arma 2 mod, I can't recall ever seeing arrows sticking out of players. Anyone confirm that?
No idea.
Sgt Savage, do you remember that?
It happens, like I said, a lot of smoke and mirrors and a lot of things like that there. I mean, to shoot an actual projectile, it's just a calculation, really, of where it's hit. And again, it takes out all the center part of it, where the round's going to land, where it's going to land. Like, what you possibly could do in that aspect, say if you've got a bow and arrow, because we use bows and arrows in our server, you could actually shoot an arrow and then have it stick in the model. But the issue is the model itself is Bohemia's model. You'd have to
redesign it.
Yeah, well, not so much. You can attach items to a player, e.g., like a backpack or something like that, but it has to have what they call what's it called? So it's still early in the morning. I'm still waking up. I just can't remember the name, but you could actually place an object on a player, like
like an attachment slot.
Yeah, attachment. Yeah, kind of like that there. But I mean, you could scope one it out so you wouldn't see it on the player, but like you wouldn't see it in the inventory of the player as much. Like it wouldn't take up a slot. But you could you could script it in a way that possibly, you shoot that arrow like that, the arrow goes straight ahead, it hits them in a certain place, they drop down, they die. I thought hard about this actually before and thinking, because arrows would be great to just walk up there and just reap them out of them and reuse them again, and they slowly degrade over time, instead of just shooting gone, But
it disappears, like where'd it go?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's ways you can do it. I mean, it's all down to scripting. But again,
Yeah, but if Bohemia was to actually add that in fully, it would take a lot of work for them to actually just like making like a small workaround. They would have to make a whole new mechanic for it. It's a lot easier for modders to do it. Bohemia has to make it as a full feature, that works fully, and it's fully
Adam said that way back when I had him for an interview or on the show. I'm pretty sure it was Adam. That I recall when we were talking about helicopters, and he said, they could do them, but the helicopters that we've got in game, as great as some of the mods are, for them to bring in helicopters would be a massive undertaking. Because it's not something, they would just work around the existing stuff. They would have to create stuff to, So the same rule, I imagine, applies to, we're doing the bows again. We had them. They worked good in the old pre-infusion engine. But to bring them back again, it's not as simple as just adding them in and they're good to go.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people don't know, too. Because Bohemia wasn't just trying to screw over everyone when they changed the engine and removed all the items. They weren't just saying, we hate you guys, no more RPGs or no more like any of that stuff for you, we're taking that all, or any like the old legacy weapons. It's the matter that they broke. They're not going to keep them in the game if they don't work. And ultimately, a lot of the items in the game that were added once they switched from like just the Vertility engine, like the real Vertility engine, to the hybrid in Fusion, it screwed up a lot of the stuff, and it screwed up a lot of the mechanics, and a lot of the stuff had to be redone. But because so much stuff got screwed over, Bohemia had to look at it and say, and they had to prioritize stuff, like what was most important at that time that needed to be fixed to make sure DayZ works, It wasn't just items that got screwed up. A lot of the foundation and a lot of the base of DayZ got destroyed, like not like that's like an exaggeration of it, but a lot of the stuff got buggy and it didn't work, and the functionality stopped working because of that. So they had to look at it by a case thing and think, can't do all this now. It's not realistic. It's not possible, and especially considering back then they had a smaller team, had to think, we're not going to be able to do all this. What can we do now that's most important? So that's why we didn't see a lot of those items or some of the features that we saw back in the day get added back until recently, because they've had to just cut out like whatever's like the dead weight, that like whatever's not important, whatever doesn't actually control DayZ, they couldn't work on it, you know, because guns aren't going to be the life or death of DayZ, but the actual base game, some of those mechanics, the key mechanics that make DayZ what it is, have to be worked on to make sure that they work, because without those, you don't have DayZ, you know, you don't have the game.
Yep.
I'll try 117. I've seen that the one thing I was a bit irked about was that saying now they're putting damage on pots and pans. You know, so using to a certain state and they're going to degrade. You know, cast iron pan or something like that, they should last forever. But I'm kind of like, you know, how are they going to do it? Why would they do that?
Yeah, but I guess it's also the fact that they're really trying to hone in on the survival arcade aspect in that sense. A lot of the stuff they're doing is realistic, and they've tried to take a realistic approach to it, but some of the stuff is just really emphasize on survival, you know. They want you to find more stuff. They want you to go searching for stuff. They don't want everything to, or like everything to last for you, you know.
Yeah.
I think there's other things that they could do. I think they like that. They're straight away to play. I've told one of the players I've read, you know, 117 is going to have the degrading pots and pans. They were just like, oh, but yeah, you're 100% right there. Lemons too, but you know, you need to be able to get the community moving again too, so they're not just, you know, get out there, find what you need.
Yeah, and I imagine that there's probably going to be something that's released in a patch to address that, to fix it. Because I know when they first released the filters, like the new improvised filters, there wasn't a way to actually do anything. Then they released the patch after that, and then you could actually refill the filters, or you could repair the filters and stuff like that. And they're probably going to do something similar. I'm not sure what they would use. Like, it seems arbitrary, but using maybe epoxy putty to repair the pans. It sounds stupid saying that, you know, because realistically, I wouldn't want to eat any food coming out of a pot that I used epoxy putty to seal, you know. But in DayZ's universe, that seems like the most normal-ish thing that they do. In that sense.
But I mean, but with regards to that, obviously people speak out, and you know, Feedback Tracker and on Twitter and stuff like that. If they say, "Look, we're not happy with this edition, like, please revert it," then you know, I would like to think that they would listen and go back on that, because they've done that with quite a few things, especially with like back in 112 with the weapon changes that were made. A lot of people really complained about that, and they you know, they changed on that and they worked on it, and now you know weapon gunplay is in a really good state right now. At least I like to think, apart from the sounds or the sound ranges, as I would say, that needs
or even the unconscious states too. That's been a big big debate, and it's been all over the place, you know.
But as long as the community keeps with like regular contact and regular feedback with the team, then they won't be working in the dark. And that's
and the big issue too is
important for any developer.
Yeah, and the big issue too is with that, a lot of the people that complain about some of the issues with DayZ don't know the right way to address it. They're like, there's so many people that just go out to Twitter and start just saying like, you guys fucking suck, you guys have the terrible mods, you guys have terrible games, go back to the Stone Age, you know. And they don't, like, they're just, at its core, not a lot of those people are doing it maliciously, but they just have a big passion for the game. They don't want to see it bad, you know. It's a matter of using that passion and giving it to them in a constructive manner. That's a big issue, because if you see some of the comment sections on the Twitter, man, like it's like the Thunderdome in there, like they're tearing Bohemia to shreds in some of those comments that they say. Yeah. And the other issue too is a lot of them don't know the right way to report it. Not a lot of people, or at least not a lot of people coming from the console DayZ community, know about the feedback tracker. They don't know that there's a platform and a forum that they can go on to actually report this stuff.
We've talked about the feedback tracker. It's its own worst enemy. It is not a simple, easy to use thing. Like, even down to the fact that there is no in-game feedback tracker link. You have to either Alt tab out and go to a different thing. There's nothing even in the game menu that got feedback. Log it here. There's messages that come up in game, but you can't even click on the link in those messages to take you straight to the site.
It leaves a lot of people searching for it. It's kind of like they're grasping at straws to figure out where they can report this stuff, and that's why it leads a lot of people to just being fed up and just start doing all this stuff in like the Twitter or on on Reddit and stuff like that. Because they just don't know the proper way to go about it, and I don't blame them. Like you were saying, it's hard. You have to learn to use it. It's not just a simple sort of go in there and report a bug. You have to pick the game. You have to make sure you're on the right type. You have to specify you have to go through and create like this whole thread, and it's really intimidating for a lot of people going into that because they may not know how to do some of the stuff, and especially for the console people, they may not have access to a PC to be able to go on and use this. But I mean, it's better now because we have like the Explorer on Xbox, and I'd imagine a lot of people who play DayZ Console Edition also have phones. But it's harder for them because a lot of those people play on community, so that they don't see messages about the feedback tracker. There's no documentation on there saying anything about it other than on official servers,
Yeah.
Now,
and I mean, they've done a better job.
Sorry, go on.
Okay, all I was going to say was they've done a lot better recently because they've actually made a point of saying in their Twitter posts, with a lot of their new updates, they actually say the feedback tracker stuff. I'm happy that they did that. They've done that because it's bringing it out, and it's allowing more people to actually access it. But go on.
Now, I was going to move on to the next topic because we talked about this one for a bit. 1.17, they've announced it's going to be a full wipe for official servers. Now, I've been having a bit of a debate with the people I play with. That doesn't mean community servers, does it? It's still optional for community servers. Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah, it's been like that for a long time.
That's what I thought. That was my understanding.
There were some older updates, like this is going back a long time ago, but there were some updates where community servers did get wiped. But with every recent update, with every new update, it's not been like that. I think it's ever going to be like that because they leave it at the discretion of those owners to do that.
This vehicle thing, that might be one that will necessitate a complete wipe across.
100%.
Sounds like a whole new bit of an engine coming in. But for the most part, no. So brace yourselves for the wave of people whining and bitching on Twitter about how they've lost everything and got to start again.
Their favourite cars and stuff.
But no, I just wanted to clarify that because a couple of people I play with who play a lot of DayZ, and it is only an official server wipe. It's up to community members. DanceofJesus, can't wait for all the people who built their bases at Nizhnoy. Oh yeah, so that's actually that's going to be quite interesting. I would love to send you some screenshots if you go to a community server that doesn't wipe and you find bases that are in weird locations now with the redesign of Nizhnoy.
Oh, man.
That'd be awesome.
That's going to be beautiful.
That would be awesome.
There's going to be a player that spawns in there under the map, because there's been terrain changes too.
Yeah.
Imagine spawning in for the first time after 1.17 comes out and you're just under the map,
Well, that's what DanceofJesus is saying. He's the map guy for DayZ now, and most are going to be underground. That's awesome. That's awesome.
How to have underground bases on console, I guess,
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. Guys, we have been going for quite some time. So I think it's time to start getting ready to wind up the show. Any individual spotlights? We'll start with you, Sgt Savage. What's something you would like to shout out?
Dimitri, again, really beautiful guy. I've asked him to do some commission work as well too. Very, very professional, just to get some things into the game that we needed. Lot of time, respect. Dump graph as well too, mate. We can do an awesome job. Use your mods as well too, mate. Very, very well done. And just you guys as well too. Thanks for keeping the show on the road, and it's great. And again, if anybody's, we'll be looking at Europe server. I'll promise you on that one, lad. We will look at it. And see what we can do. But like I said, just trying to get the name out there. That's the biggest thing. And
that's the main thing you need to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Australia's got a really good bunch of guys, but I think you guys over there are more horny for it than what we are. I guess I don't know. But,
you know a bit.
What about you, Project Lemons? Anything you want to shout out, mate?
Yeah, well, two people that I've seen the community on console that have done a lot of good stuff recently is Smiley's Got a Gun and The Greedy Peasant.
Yep,
They're two
heard
Australian creators, and they're doing so much to try and do more for the community. They have PCs, they have the opportunity to switch, but they're staying on console because there's a community there that needs love and they need support. And even Greedy Peasant, he's working with a lot of servers on console edition to try and build a community where they can all be together and have like a server where they can all talk and chat and share ideas with each other. And he's already, I think he just hit 180 servers. I may be wrong, but he has over 180 or more console servers in his community that he's working with to try and bring them all together and have them just unite. And I find that amazing because it shows how far we've gone on console, and it shows that there are people out there that are actively trying to make it a better community for everyone. So,
Lad?
Unfortunately, I don't have a spotlight for this week. I've been too wrapped up with working and commission work and projects that I haven't had enough time to really look into a few things. So I do apologize about that.
Me, I'm going to shout out the DayZ community team. For this month's community spotlight was just everything I've been whinging and whining and bitching and moaning and carrying on about, and they did it. I'm not going to be vain enough to think that they did it because we've been riding them about it, but I'd like to think we played a small part in maybe that happening. And I'm over the moon that they did it. And I hope to see in future, I'd love to see a Scale Speeder. I'd love to see a Don Sibley in there for the work they're doing with community modding, with console modding. Which, they're very limited in what they can do, but there's some people out there pushing the boundaries of what can be done, like your Zagoria Project Lemons, and we talked about last week with Half Goblin and the Eska remake, and just it's amazing to see all this stuff
changed in the console community for sure.
Yeah, so I hope to see some of that get spotlighted in the future as well, just so that the console players out there can see that stuff is happening. Hopefully more, but we will see what happens with that in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much. Savage, this was a good episode, mate. You answered a lot of questions. A lot of people had queries about how a community DLC gets made, and to hear it's 2 to 3 years. That's a long time, but for the quality of what came out, it needs to be that long. You were consulting with actual veterans and stuff like that. It's insane to see stuff like that being done. And fingers crossed, one day we can see DayZ put a tender out for a bunch of skilled people to get together as a team and create some amazing community DLC mods that can go across to console as well.
Well, thanks very much for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure meeting with you and speaking with you as well, mate. You've been absolutely wonderful.
No, thank you, brother.
Don't be a stranger. When I take over, anytime you want to come back on to talk about any more projects or about your server, hit me up and we'll sort something.
Fantastic, mate. I appreciate it. And thank you to you guys as well, too, for putting this on. I mean, keeping everybody informed and what's going on. And
we do what we do.
That's what you do. But again, come and see us over at FTG as well, too, Aussie server. I will promise, as I said before that, I'll get a EU over there, mate, and fingers crossed people are going to love it. But come and check us out anyways. It's very different, very, very unique. And, thanks again for having me, boys. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Next week's guest, ladies and gentlemen, is the one and only Red Falcon. It will also be my last episode as the host of the DayZ podcast, so going to be a bit of a tearjerker, folks. But all good things must come to an end, including bad things, which has been my reign at the helm.
Shush.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to next week because Red Falcon's heli mod, I fucking love it with a passion. And again, can't wait to get onto a local server here in Australia and use those helis without that 200 plus ping that I had when I played around with them before. Project Lemons, thank you so much for coming on, mate.
Sure, thank you so much for having me on here and giving me the opportunity. You know, I totally appreciate it, and it was a blast for sure.
Hell yeah, man.
One thing I want to throw out, because I'm interested in getting some feedback from you all as well, is something we're looking at doing. We're reworking our Patreon. And one of the perks that was discussed is that for after the show, we're thinking of having all hanging around and all of our patrons going into our patron exclusive area. And just chatting with you guys after the show. So basically doing a bit of a debrief. You get to meet the guest, and obviously not all guests might want to do it, but get to chat with the team directly after the show. You can give us feedback while it's fresh in your mind and all the rest of it, just as a perk for those who support the show at that level as well. So interested in your feedback on whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing. We've always been very open. We've always liked to have as much interaction. You know, most mornings you'll find me sitting in the podcast Discord, and anyone can come and join. But we're thinking just as a, you know, as a and it would be for our YouTube subscribers as well. But for those who subscribe and support, like a backstage pass, there you go. Dumpgrass summed it up perfectly. So, yeah, as a way for you guys to come in and chat with us directly after the show. So let us know your thoughts in the Discord, whether you think it's a shit idea, whether you think it's a good idea. But yeah, we will see you all next week. Same time, same channels for Red Falcon with episode 102 of the DayZ podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, say goodbye. All the best, and yeah.
Arrivederci.
Ciao for now.
Ciao for now. Oh, you're stealing my fucking line, you bastard. Ciao for now, folks.
Take care, everyone.
Take it easy.